We are live. We are live. What's up, good people? Welcome to the show. What we got going on? I see Mike and Vic's Perkins down there. Shout out to them. Dotting a few I's, crossing a few T's to see we already got people in the building. Make sure you hit the like button as you make your way in here. About to get things started. Trying to cue up the intro, but let's get ready to go. Let's get it.
Peace, folks. This is X from TPOT Media. Open your mind and wake your black ass up. You know what time it is. Hit that damn like button as you make your way in the door. Grab a seat, settle in, get ready. It's the Grown Man Hour with your host, my man, Bernard Riley.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Mumia Obsidian Ali. You know who I am. I need no introduction, right? And you're listening to the Grown Man Hour with my man Bernard Riley, heard weekdays right here on YouTube. What do you think about that? How about that? Now let's get back on with the show. Thank you.
What's up, good people? What's up, good people? Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. I'd like to thank. Oh shit, Ike. Goddamn, Ike. Let me say hello first. Shit, you just came right out the gate with the super chats. I am in the building. Says first. Yes, you made it first. Congratulations to you on that. Let me double check, make sure. Okay, everybody can hear me. Okay, yeah, can hear me. Shout out to. Oh, she said hola. Shout out to Rocket Man. Okay. Yeah, caught me singing Elton John early in the morning. I can't take that back either. Hopefully it's at the beginning. Well, because it's at the beginning of the show, it's only 44 people in here. Hopefully nobody clips it. And nobody rewinds or watches the beginning of the show. But no, forget y'all. I don't care what y'all say. I like Elton John. Elton John's music. I like Luther Vandross's music. Is what it is. When they make great music and then they come out 20 years later, it's like, what do you do with that? Anyway. Now, if they just pulling a Lil Nas X out the gate, then that's a different story. They can't get it. I don't like that. But if they make great music, then you find out, they had a lifestyle that, you don't necessarily agree with. It's like, oh well, whatever. Good music is good music. But it's just weird when you stop and think, okay, who are they really singing about right there? So it just gets weird, but not a big deal. Whatever. All right. Shout out to Rocket Man. He says, this title sounds like Cleanup Man. And what? How the hell you gather that? How the hell? How in the hell did you gather that out of there? I didn't say when men raise other men's children. I said when men raise men. Fathers raising their sons. Like, do you listen to my content? Because if you listen to my content, I don't know how you could think that that's the route I was going. Anyway, T. Davis, it's true that he understands we're going. Aaron B in the building. Logan JJ. Sharon Bracy says, good day, people. Ike in the building. Shout out to Ike. Rocket Man, as a person talking about this subject matter, I can assure you it's not about being a cleanup man. Hashtag no voice. Right. Right on. Like, come on, man. Like, they just come right through the door with some nonsense. Thank you, Pablo. That sort of sums up the point. Sort of sums up the point really hard. He says Elton John and Luther Vandross actually had talent. Lil Nas X, not so much. Oh, yes. I almost forgot about that. Said catch Bernard Riley tonight on TPOT. Yes, I will be on there with X and SKC. Had a great conversation yesterday with SKC, but we're going to be talking about even no matter what you accomplish, you're still an N-word. A nasty N-word. Necrophilia. Okay. Where we at? Shout out to Ike in the building with a $50 super sticker. Shout out to Ike.
Calamity fi hit we any moment, what's a pity? Tomorrow never certain. What draws behind the curtain? The face of evil. Evil will make advances. Pick up your sword and lances and be sure to take your stances.
And I am waiting on Mike and Vince Perkins to come into the building. Waited on Mike and Vince Perkins to come into the building. Little Big Nate, if you're listening, I got your text message right before I came on the air. He said, man, how you didn't contact me on this topic? Mike and Vince actually chose this topic. So this was all they're doing. But no, this is definitely a topic that Little Big Nate speaks quite passionately on. It's one that I speak passionately on. It's one that I truly believe in. You know, we talk a lot about things that black men need to do, things that black men may not be doing, the whole works and everything, you know. There are solutions that get put on the table, but from my perspective, there's no solution better than it's starting at home. Shout out to Obsidian. Starts at home. You raising your children, even if there's a situation where, hell, like my situation went so where, hey, it was a divorce. I had to do what I had to do to make sure that I didn't lose control in the situation of the outcomes of my sons. So when they become the men that they're going to become, I'm going to make sure I have my hand heavily in that. So we can try to rally the troops all we want, but the type of black men that we want to see is a lot easier if you raise and train them from birth, and then they can go out and conquer the world, so to speak. But without further ado, let's bring up the guest of honor. I thought it was going to be two gentlemen, but I'm only seeing one down there. But either way it go. Welcome to the show, Mike of Mike and Vince Perkins podcast. Say something.
Hey, what's up now? How's it going?
Got you. You're in here in the building. Oh, and thank you for the super chat. I just saw that you did right there. Now, where's your partner in crime?
My brother he's sick. He's sick, and that's unfortunate. he has a splitting headache. But I'm gonna try to represent us to the fullest. I appreciate you, Bernard, for having us, but me now on. I appreciate you very much, Mike.
Yeah, well, very much. But before we get started, there's something really, really important that we gotta deal with here. And so I gotta ask real quick. Very important. Is that a rotary phone behind you?
Yeah, that's a rotary phone. That's a part of one of our things that we do on the podcast. Like when I say something outlandish, there's a we have the roadcaster, so we has like the rotary phone sound effect, and we act as if somebody like maybe like a Michelle Obama is calling because I done said something ridiculous. So it's not a real phone. It's just a prop. I'm sorry. It's just a prop.
Okay, that was an important issue that we had to get down to the bottom of that before we can go further.
Right. Nah. I know the chat is brutal. So get me. Yeah, nah.
Shout out to Snuggles in the building with the super chat. She says, "I'm gonna need you to play my music." Okay, I'll where's it at? You know what? Oh no, I thought I lost it.
Hi, I'm Snuggle. Snuggly Softness. That's really less expensive.
All right, shout out to Snuggles. I'm gonna need you to play my music. All these shenanigans you got going on right now. Ain't no shenanigans going on right now. It's a serious conversation.
Very serious.
No shenanigans going on right now. Even though it always turn into some over here. But he says, "I need to hear something good now. Get to playing my music. Hey, you better quit telling me what I need to do. Need to get to doing. Cut it out, Snuggles. Cut it out." But everybody who's in the building, make sure y'all hit the like button. We about to get this thing started. Let me double check, make sure I've hit the like button myself. But this subject, this is a subject near and dear to my heart. And so what prompted the two of you, even though it's just one of you here, but what prompted y'all to want to come up with this subject?
Well, both of us have sons. I got 2 sons. My brother has a son, and I hear a lot of times about women really complaining about the caliber or the standard of man that exists in Black culture, and the numbers and the stats that go throughout the manosphere. 80% of us being raised by women, 90% of custody hearings going in favor of the mom. The time is even split up 75% to 25% in favor of women. And the men are being called effeminate. The men are being called indecisive. They like leadership. They like direction. They like all of the things that women say they want. But the equation is that Black women are complaining about Black men that Black women raised. You know what I mean? And to me, it's a clear solution to it. Have men raise men. And I look at my boys and I look at the kids that they hang around, and it's almost like you can tell when they're mostly raised by their moms. And I don't like that. I don't like how that looks. To me, that just looks very, that's the next generation of leaders. So I would like, for myself and for my sons and really everybody's son to kind of mostly be raised by their dads when you get into the later years. Like nurturing is only really necessary for the first maybe 5 or 6 years of a kid's life. It's only that time. So most of their lives, especially boys, they need structure, order, and discipline. And the kids are not really getting that. But women are also using, the state, using the government to kind of help them ensure that doesn't happen to the tune of 90%. You know what I mean? And the time being split up so disproportionately, and it's not like Black fathers, like again, the manosphere, thanks to the manosphere, you get a lot of information about Black fathers, the Black manosphere, you get a lot of information about Black fathers that we're not actually trash, like people would have you believe. A lot of the, the literature on Black fathers, Black fatherhood is that we're actually pretty good. You know what I mean? We just haven't been given a chance, and it's time for that to kind of change. And look, the ultimate thing is to get women in on it, because really, if they go to the system, there's no real way for us to kind of get around it.
Hold on, wait. You said something right there. You said the ultimate thing is to get women in on it. What does that mean?
Well, the thing is that it has to be advantageous for women, right? Because no matter what, you can't make them do a thing that they ultimately don't want to do. You know what I mean? And look, if I don't think that men go to court and say, well, forget them kids. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think that men are doing that. So ultimately what I think is happening is that men are going to court and they're getting their ass handed to them in court. As a person who's been, yeah, right. As a person, yeah, as a person who's been in the court and didn't show up in jogging pants. Like I didn't show up like I showed up in the regular way that I dress up for work, which is a suit with a tie and everything. And there were guys that came in jogging pants, and peace to them. You know what I mean? I wish them the best. But
hey, jogging pants wearing dads matter too. I mean, so
yeah, they do matter. They do matter. But what I'm saying is that they knew my job description. They knew I wasn't on drugs. They knew I wasn't, any kind of, gangster, anything like that. You know what I mean? So it was just like, it was kind of surprising the way I got treated and how hard I had to fight to get the time that I got. But the only reason I had to fight for the time that I had to fight, the only reason I had to really fight for it was because the other end of it was somebody fighting to get all the time. So in that sense, we have to get women on the side of, hey, this is beneficial to you. Because I mean, I could say personally for me.
Okay. That's the hurdle already.
That's the hurdle.
How is it beneficial for them to I don't know, to just come in and say, hey, we're going to do 50-50, or hey, I'm good with the father having 80% of the time to my 20% of the time. In their mind, how is that beneficial? Because like you just said, you sound like you got a good corporate job. That's child support. She get to have her baby to herself and get money, and you just watch him on the weekend. That sounds to a modern woman, that sounds like a good deal. So you got a hell of a sales pitch in front of you. If we're going to be trying to convince them that it's beneficial to not do that in the event that y'all break up.
Well, ultimately you get better men. Mm-hmm. So the goal is, and like I found out a lot of the modern Black women, they really can only see as far as today, but we have to give them foresight to kind of see beyond what it is. Because and what I was about to say was an answer to your actual question. We have to make them understand that us being able to raise our sons makes us better men. Because for me raising my boys has made me a better man. Like I'm accountable to something. I'm accountable to two people who watch everything I do. They gesture like me, they talk like me, they walk like me. To hear them talk about me when I'm not, like I'm listening in on them and I'm not around. It's like they talk about me like I'm Michael Jordan, even though like I know I'm just regular Michael Perkins. And the way they talk about me is as if I'm their superhero. You can't replace that. And it makes me want to be better. Thus, I'm a man and I'm on the market. You know what I mean? And it gives you better men, these better men that you actually say you want. Now, if you don't want the men and you just want the money, I mean, I get it. But we kind of have to not convince them, but show them that this makes better men and it gives you better sons. Because I don't think that any woman kind of wants the typical raised by their mama in these streets, lazy, whatever typical son. I know they don't want that. You know what I mean? Like nobody wants that. And by the time your son gets like 15 or 16, he's bigger than you. Not me, but the woman. He's bigger than his mom. He can, he doesn't really have to listen. He can, literally run the streets if he wants to. You need that discipline. So, I mean, just so we don't get into the latter years, we don't get to 15 and 16. It should probably start at maybe six years old by the time they hit first grade, So, I mean, but just like I say, convincing them is going to take a lot because they've had 50 years of this way, the way that it's going now, but I think convincing them won't be as tough as we think. I think enter, Sir Kevin Samuels, enter Sir Obsidian and the likes. Like
you put that sir in front of their name
because those guys are amazing. You know what I'm saying? Those guys are amazing, man. Like I just the work that they're doing is amazing. Like Obsidian is next level. Like the fact that you like that's another thing. Like a sidebar. Like your panel, like is legit the best panel I see on YouTube. You know what I mean? In this space, like not to
Hey,
say that
appreciate it.
everybody else panels suck, but you have like the best of every person when you bring them on this panel. Like Fantastic is amazing. Game Changer is super funny, witty. You know, all the guys are just really. Obsidian is obviously, you know what I'm saying, just brilliant. Like all the guys that you bring to the panel, it just seems as though even when y'all are talking about something that's silly, like I was tuning in for the show on Saturday where y'all were talking about black women's, posterior, and it was like y'all are having an intellectual conversation about that.
Yes. You know what? Thank you for noticing that. Because even when we talking about some some unimportant stuff, we still think next level in the analysis of it. Like that
Like
was
some
yeah,
of the
thank you.
some of the concepts and ideas, man. Like I'm pretty sure that Game Changer wasn't the first to say it, and I might be saying Game Changer, and it may be somebody else, but permission based leadership. Like as soon as
Yeah.
he said that, I immediately knew what he meant. You know what I mean? It's some of the times where like Fantastic will say something and it's a foreign concept in the sense of the words that he's using, but it's just like I get what he's saying. And the same thing with Pablo, same thing with all the guys, like, is it Lil Big Nate?
Little Big Nate, yeah.
Lil
Yeah.
Big Nate. All the guys are like, they have their particular, and I'm subscribed to all of them. You know what I'm saying? But it's like they have their particular ideologies and things of that nature. And it's like, even if you don't agree with them, they still come off good. They still hit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You can tell they at least thought about it before they said it. It's just
Exactly. And like I said, that's why I enjoy listening. Like I'll go, like it's a lot. So, I get to tune in here and there, but like they all like come here and it's like the Avengers. You know what I'm saying? It's like the Avengers and they all get busy, man. So like I wanted to say that this is like one of the best rather panels that I've seen. And like I say, it's not that other panels suck. You know what I'm saying? Other panels are really good, like the Lapeef Let's Talk. Jessica X every now and again has a panel. Of course, the other guys that aforementioned guys, they have their panels, but it seems like everybody comes here with their A game. So this is dope.
Hey, appreciate that. Freedman's Journal in the building just became a member. I appreciate everybody who's becoming members. I just recently got that member tab, just became available. So everybody who's becoming a member, I see Darth Low trademark down there. Paul Game. Actually, Paul Game said something that we're going to touch on for a little bit. Paul Game down there amped up. He says, I'm not fighting for my children. I can't respect that sentence. I'm not fighting for my children. Why should I have to spend all my money for every other weekend? Now, it is something to say about the second sentence right there.
Second sentence is very important.
I know a guy. This was a brother. He was married for I don't know how many years. He's married to a white woman for I don't know how many years. Got 4 daughters, no sons, 4 daughters, which is crazy. I lose my mind. I'd lose my mind. But he got 4 daughters, and his brother was making regular, income. He's just a regular everyday brother. He's making about 50K a year. All right. They got a divorce, and she hit him with that child support, and that it came up to like $1,400 a month. Now, if you do the math on 50K a year after taxes, it's something, it's probably netting about probably 2,800 or 2,700 a month, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just cutting his income in half. He was living off 1,300, and that was pending whether or not he worked overtime. Sometimes he was living off 1,200 a month after the child support, and he made his peace with that. He started after he would work all day on steel toe boots. He'd go to the barber shop and cut a little hair just to get some cash in his pocket for gas money and food and whatever he needed, and just budgeted his little 1,300 to pay his bills, and then just went and cut some hair just to keep his cash in his pocket. He made his peace with it, but his only thing is, I'm working from sun up to sundown, doing everything I can, and he made his peace. He's like, my daughters, they over there with their mom. She do love her kids, and they taken care of because the mom the mom didn't work. She got money from somewhere else. I think one of the kids had some I don't know, some SSI situation or something like that. They got like 1,000 a month for one of the kids, and then she got like another 500 for something. I don't know, some disability. I have no idea. That plus his 1,400. So they was getting like $2,800 a month. So he was like, hey, I'm not there working for them, but I know they good. I'm good with that. I made my peace with that. Here's the only thing I want. I want to be able to see them whenever the hell I want. That was all he wanted. You know, he understood he was working so much, he couldn't be with them all day. So he was happy that they was with their mom, somebody that loved him. But when he get off work, he get a window in his schedule on a random Tuesday. Hey, I just want to be able to swing by, pick my girls up. I'm broke if I broke right now, but I just want to pick my girls up, take them to get some ice cream. Just and you know, she's like, and she's pulling out the schedule on him. Well, the schedule says you're not supposed to see him until next week on the, and he's just like, I'm working this hard, I'm paying this much money just to not see them. I'm paying for children that I can't see or that I'm told when to see. And it's not just that the court is telling me when I can see them. No, it's you. It's the woman. She's the one telling him when and when he can't see him, with the court as obviously her, where she get, you know, the
that's her
the
weapon of
ability to
choice.
do that.
Right, that's her weapon of choice.
Yeah. That's her weapon of choice. And that was his frustration. So I understand that part. Now I don't respect the first part of that sentence again, where he said, "I'm not fighting for my children." But we'll get into that. But the second part of that sentence, yeah, that one hit guys right in the heart right there. So I do understand the second part of that. Go ahead.
I understand that I'm not fighting for my children part of it. Like I understand, and I guess for me, I understand it a different way, because you shouldn't have to fight for your children.
Yeah.
So like the idea is that most kids don't come from one night stands. Most of them come from at least decent relationships, right? Like I know this person, you know what I mean? And it's like people don't immediately go to the court. They eventually, you know, they eventually go to court. Initially, they're probably trying to work it out, see what they can do or whatever.
Wait, hold on, time out. I just want to say this real quick. He said $1,400 for 4 daughters is cheap. You got to understand, this man used to have to work overtime to make $50K. His regular salary was something like $1,650. And where I'm at, like the job we was doing would be like a $22 an hour job, you know, $23 an hour job in a place where the cost of living was higher. It was a really, really low cost of living. So, you know, some jobs working at factories, you know, they pay about $16 an hour, probably work your way up to 19. Maybe it was that type of job. So his base pay was $32,000 a year. He worked overtime to get to, you know, $45,000. So based off his income, yeah, that money was more than his net. Thus the reason, you know, he worked overtime and cut hair at the barber shop to make some under the table cash. So you can't just say that $1,400 is cheap, because you got to look at what the individual actually makes. That's a very important thing whenever we analyzing that. But and I'm sorry I cut you off. Hopefully you can hold your thought. But SKC in the building says, good conversation. Question: how will the women be convinced to want different men if the majority of the media they consume promotes something else? I'll leave that one right there, and we'll get back to that one. Hopefully you held your thought on your previous point. Go ahead, you got it.
Yeah, I understand the idea of not wanting to fight for your kids because you shouldn't have to fight for your kids. The idea is that most kids come from, I don't want to say a loving relationship, but a presumably loving relationship, right? Because people are together and they have kids. Now, look, there are some situations where that's not the case. There's one night stands. There's other things that may happen. But for the most part, kids are coming from relationships. The idea is that, what was I doing before we went to court? Like, what was I doing before when you liked me, when we were together, when we were in the same house, when we claimed each other on Facebook, when all of that was going on? What did I do then? And why was that okay then and it's not okay now? So the idea of I shouldn't have to fight for my kids is a very, very, like, I don't think that he meant I ain't fighting for my kids as in forget them kids. Like, I feel like his sentiment was I shouldn't have to fight for my kids. And I agree. You shouldn't have to go into court and get beat up for 2 hours. And man, every time I went to court, it's like 3 hours. 3 hours of just getting punched in the gut. You know what I'm saying? Bless you, man. You know what I'm saying? It was 3 hours of getting punched in the gut. And I don't get where that even comes from. Like the idea, just like again, I went in there, I was green. I had my brothers telling me, I had, friends telling me that, dog, you better get in there and get a lawyer. I'm like, nah, I'm straight. We gonna get a divorce. We're gonna get a divorce, and I'm gonna get 50-50 custody with the kids, and everything is gonna be good. We've talked.
You sound just like me.
I know. I've heard your story. I've heard your story a couple times, man. Yeah, and I was like, it's gonna be easy. And then I went in there, and I mean, like, it was the Twilight Zone. Like, and this is the killer. The killer is that white judge, white mediator, white. She had 2 white lawyers, like all women. These are all women, by the way. White women as a judge, white women as a mediator, white lawyers for her. 2 white girls, 2 lily white.
White. Was it a lily white ex-wife?
No, she's super black.
I'm like, you really fucking up.
Right? No.
Because wife is white, the lawyer white. Your lawyer, her lawyer, your ex-wife, and the judge, all white women.
Everybody's white women.
All white women. You just
I might have left in cuffs if my wife was white.
White women formed Hotron on you. They was
Hotron. That's a good one. Whoever said that first.
I got that from Tommy Sotomayor. I can't take credit for that one.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Hotron. Right now, but everybody was white. The bailiff was a white woman. It was ridiculous. I was such at a disadvantage, and I didn't get it. It took me until the judge started like asking me questions that I really got, that I was really like, oh, this is what this is. They were right. And they couldn't even be as right as they were when they were saying it, because really you got to go through it to even get it. You know what I mean? You're in the courtroom and you're like, oh, it's way worse than they even described, because realistically, these are people doing this. And they have no reason to do it. Now, fortunately for me,
wait, that's a real good point. Because people be talking about the system, but it's really people.
Exactly.
The rules are there, they're in place, but there are a lot of subjective decisions made at every level. Like if y'all meet with the mediator, they call it different things. I think the lead attorney says guardian ad litem or something like that. I don't. It's a lot of lingo in there that I forget the lingo. But yes, that mediator, you don't know what's in her head. She listening to you talk. She listening to your ex-wife talk, and she's just writing the whole time.
Yeah,
she could write objective facts down, but her subjective opinion about men and women is going to muddy and cloud whatever her thought process is. And then she takes that paper, and me and the lead attorney had the same conversation multiple times. She take that paper, she hand it to the judge. That judge don't want to do the hard work of really trying to figure that out. The judge, he want his job to be easy. So he just going to say, okay, she think the woman should get the kids. Okay, done deal. Boom, boom. It's that simple. It's that simple. And so yeah, it's a system with things set up in place that does make it harder for men. But I would argue, and I could be wrong on this, but I would argue the thing that truly make it harder is not the structural system aspect of it, but no, the bias of the human element in it.
Yes,
I think that's far more important. I cut you off again, but go ahead.
It's cool. It's your show, man. I really did the conversation, man.
Yeah, no doubt.
The lead attorney, because the lead attorney was on the Peep Let's Talk show, and they were having a conversation about this particular thing, whether it was the laws or it was the people. And I know, like, when you black, you kind of get that there are no really racist laws on the books necessarily, but when you have people who are at heart, you know what I'm saying, they don't really like you, then they can kind of, you know what I'm saying, administer the law the way that they feel. And there's a gray area for them to do that. There's no law that says, hey, black guy, you're going to get 4 times as much time as anybody else when you go to court for the same crime. There's no law that says that, but that's also the way that they can do it. You know what I mean? And they can legally do it. When you get to family court, it's the same thing. There's nothing that says that the mom is going to get most of the time.
Yeah.
It's just that's the way that they do it overwhelmingly because that's the way they've been doing it. And look, I don't even think it's racist at this point. When
we're talking about family court, no, everybody who looked at that objectively and have studied it came to the conclusion that's not racist.
It's not sexist is what I meant. It's not sexist either.
You don't think it's sexist?
I think it's capitalist.
Okay, that too.
I think it's capitalist because really it's the money. Like the good brother, Mr. Palmer, who came on your show. That's the first. Like a lot of the people who I saw for the first time, your show. He was a Obsidian, first time your show. You know what I'm saying? Like fantastic, all of them. You know what I'm saying? That your show, but he said, and I had to look it up. I don't remember if he said B or M, whether he said 51 billion or million for child support. But it's a business. How do you extract money from people who don't really spend money like that? Like as far as retail, women in every culture spend 70%. You know what I mean? Like in every other race or culture, they spend 70% of the money. How do you extract value from a group that doesn't really spend money like that? You know what I mean? Well, you do it through a system. You set it up. And that's like child support shouldn't be a business. You know what I'm saying? Child support shouldn't be a business, but it is. It's a business nonetheless. And it's the way that they are administering or the way that they're doing the laws, the way that they're using the laws, and they're using them to just extract value, extract money from the guy or the person with the most money, really. But it's usually the guy because in most cultures, the man is kind of making the most money.
Right. SKC in the building with a super chat. He says, good conversation. Question: how will the women be convinced to want different men if the majority of the media they consume promotes something else? And this, go ahead.
You know what I find? This is the good brother, Sir Kevin Samuel. So I think that what he's done, that's been really, really brilliant. And even his Instagram show, I feel like it's more impactful than the YouTube show at this point. He's making women see themselves. He's holding up a mirror to women and saying, here, this is what you sound like when you say, I still look good even though I'm 300 pounds. This is what you look like. This is what you sound like when you say, oh, I want a man who has this, this, and this. And I clearly don't deserve that. You know what I'm saying? What I did, and this is just in my personal life, I have conversation because, I like this space it's not against baby mamas. I don't think that it's against baby mamas, but objectively speaking, probably a woman without kids and a baby daddy is a little bit better than, it's not as good as a woman with no kids, right? And no baby daddy, right?
Right.
But
right.
I date women and they'll have kids and they'll have a baby daddy. You know what I mean? And you'll hear them talk down about their baby daddy. You know what I mean? They'll say, he don't do nothing for the kids. He don't see them. He don't do this. He don't do that. You know what I mean? The typical stuff. And eventually I got to a point when I was talking to one young lady, I showed her what my kid's mom was saying about me. And I have 50-50 custody. I see my kids, 3 to 4 days out the week, whatever. And we do a lot of things together. We play basketball together. We read together. We do a lot of stuff together. I just spent a lot of time with my kids. They're good dudes. They're good little dudes. So she's saying all this horrible stuff about me. And I had to show the girl I was dating what she was saying. And she's asking questions. She's saying, well, how can she say this? You don't feed your kids? Like, of course you feed your kids. Like, what the crap? You don't spend any time with your kids? You always spending time with your kids. Like, and going down the list, even to she mentioned my podcast and said that the podcast was disrespectful to women. It got ridiculous. So we're going down the list of things that she's saying. And she said, the girl I was dating at the time, she was like, how can she say all of this stuff? If it's not true, you need to get a lawyer. You need to do this. You need to do that. I was like, and I'm looking at her like, how can she say this stuff? Like she can say it because they're not going to do anything to her. And she sat there for like a minute or two and she didn't get it. But it's just like, yeah, like when you're talking about your kid's father and you're saying he the worst person in the world, I don't think that you're necessarily lying, but I kind of think you're exaggerating.
Mm.
And she had to see herself through my ex-wife. Like she had to see herself. I was like, this is what you look like when you're doing it. Because for me, I don't think that women are lying necessarily, but every interaction with every baby daddy can't be a lifetime story. Whereas you're the victim and the main character. Like it's just, it gets to the point of being ridiculous. And for me, I'm listening to her say these horrible things. And I'm like, yeah, you got a son. And that son is looking at your kid's father like he's Superman. He's still at an age where it's like, my daddy can beat your daddy up. And you're talking down about this man. You don't want the best for your son. You can't want the best for your son. Needless to say, I'm not with her anymore. But it's just like we gotta make women see themselves doing this stuff. Because, like I said, what Kevin Samuels has done, which is, like I say, brilliant, is he's made Black women see themselves. Now, is he gonna get everybody? No, but he's getting to that tipping point. He's getting to that tipping point. So we have to make women see themselves in court, because it's been so covert. Like the idea that there's any studies that say that Black fathers are the best fathers, it's just ridiculous considering what Black women say about us. Like considering that Black women say the most ridiculous things about us. Some women say we don't want to even be fathers. That's ridiculous. You know what I mean? But it's like they get to say that because the machine makes money off of that. You know what I mean? And it's like I say, I don't even think, like, I can't even go to it's racist, it's sexist, it's capitalist. It's capitalism. It's how can we extract the most value? Because see, they sell body positivity to all women. They don't just sell it to Black women, they sell body positivity to all women. But our women are disproportionately affected by it, to the tune of 80% of our women being overweight, 80% of that number being obese. You know what I mean? They sell sexual liberation to all women, really. But our women are the only ones on, the VMAs rubbing their vagina on the VMA stage. Like, that's our women. You know what I'm saying?
I always say with everything in this culture, we had this conversation with a guy, shout out to Mr. Z. He was trying to say that these are American problems and this or that or blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yes, everybody in America does it. We can look at the rates. How is there some things that white women are doing a little more now or doing a little less, or we can look at all of that, and there's fluctuations up and down. But yeah, they sell that to all women, and it's true. Yeah, if we can look at the data and say that ours partake in that activity more, yeah. All women in America are overweight, but we can look and see who's the most overweight. That, like, you can't get around that.
Can't get around it.
Malcolm in the middle, 87 in the building, says my first kid came from an actual one night stand. Shame. But he said rubber actually broke. I don't believe that. Ooh, baby, you like it raw.
Hey, do you mind if I push the "we don't believe you, we need more people"?
Get it.
I know you love that. Eh? Hold on. Is it there?
We don't believe you. You need more people.
I'm getting that clip. I say it all the time now. I gotta clip that one too. He says, didn't know she was pregnant until I ran into her 8 months later. That is insane. That is insane.
Sheesh.
But he said he got full custody after 4 years. She didn't fight. So that story does have a happy ending. But keep in mind, he got full custody because she didn't fight it. And that's really the key to full custody. Like, I could tell just by how you was talking that you had custody, but I kind of knew you didn't have full custody because a brother has to be 100% just hella on point in order to just get 50-50. Like, in order to get full custody, you got to be on point, and she got to be a trash. She's got to be a piece of trash. That's the only way you get full. And a woman, if she just didn't fight it, she didn't want her kids. I'm assuming she may have been some trash that Malcolm in the Middle 87 was getting it in raw on the first night.
Sheesh.
Yeah. We're not gonna accept that fake news you tried to smuggle in there about the condom broke. We
Yeah,
know how you get. We
yeah,
know how you was getting down
you ODB'd it. You ODB'd it.
all day. Muck City Productions in the building. Became a member yesterday. I believe that was yesterday when you became a member. Shout out to you. Shout out to all the members. Appreciate each and every one of you. He said, I wonder if it's illegal to record these court proceedings. I want to hear what you guys always talking about. I think they automatically record some. I mean, well, go ahead. Do you know an answer to that question?
Yeah, they allow you to have your phone in and they don't check your phone. Like my phone was always on the stand. Like, they have a defendant and what's the other defendant and whoever. So it's two stands and then you're in there and they don't check your phone. So you can press record. You know what I'm saying? You won't be able to physically probably, video record it, but you can audio record it.
Okay. Yeah.
And it's horrible, by the way. Like, don't if you want to see grown men cry, sheesh. And let me do this. The only reason, and I always want to tell brothers this, the only reason I really got 50-50 custody was because before there was any money involved and we were separated, I established 50-50 custody. So all the time.
How did you do that? Explain that. What do you mean by you established it?
Oh, established 50-50. Okay, so when we decided that we were going to be separated, we're living in different houses. What I did is that I said, okay, cool. The kids are going to be with you 1 week and they're going to be with me 1 week. And we're going to do 1 week on, 1 week off. She was okay with it. The reason she was okay with it was because that's time away from the kids that she gets to just move about. And everybody wants their freedom. Like, she's a human being. Of course, she loves the kids like I love the kids.
But wait, but did she get in that courtroom and then say something different?
What she had to prove was that something dramatically changed. And that's what kept me away from. Now, look, I know what you're going to say. She can just lie up a storm and say the worst things in the world, but she had to prove that something happened drastically different.
But wait a minute.
For her to get that.
But when y'all established that 50-50 after the separation, could you prove that they were with you 50-50? Because you're making it seem like, well, let me just explain it like this.
You got it.
When y'all separated, did you move out and go to a different house?
She moved.
That man, that's it right there. Because she left a marital home, that would make it to where she would have had to prove whatever she was saying. Where I messed up is I left a marital home. Even though I had them more than her, the kids on paper lived at the marital home with the mother who didn't leave the marital home. Therefore, the burden of proof was on me to prove that they were with me more than her. I couldn't prove that. Therefore, she got them full time. I got put on child support, and I had to go on a long journey to Middle Earth to try to get custody. So that was so. Like, if men listening, if you're married, you're going through a divorce, that is the game. That's game out of this world. Hear this and hear this now. Do not leave the marital home. I don't care if she in there running at you with a knife. You better learn how to do some matrix dodging. You don't leave that marital home.
Right. And make sure that you establish at least 50-50 custody. And the way to there's a few ways to document it. Usually schools have pickups. You know what I mean? If you're signing your kids in and out, depending on how old they are or whatever, you can have teachers, verify that you're the one picking them up on, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. You know what I mean? And then for the weekends, you can you can take a picture of them or whatever. But as long as you're establishing that y'all have 50-50 custody, and I think that's withstanding leaving the marital home. Because again, I'm not pushing back because you're right, but I'm pushing back because I also let her use her address as the address for the kids when they went to school. Because when we first started our separation, it was over the summer. So when she go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, no, go ahead and finish up.
Okay.
Closing
and then after we established that we were going to be living in separate houses, when she used her address on everything that we had, everything was 50-50. So like we were, we were still technically married, just separated, and we still like the kids at the school. We were both on their school records as parents, as 50-50. Everything was 50-50. When I picked up the kids, I had to sign them out, everything. So I had all the information that suggested I was doing 50-50. But even still, you can still have a planner and write down all the times that you have the kids. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can. It's a gang of things you can do to document it, but it's. I think that it's very important to establish 50-50 custody, and that if the mother only changes her mind because now you're in the court, she has to prove that something's different. You know what I mean? And I think that's withstanding leaving the marital home.
Okay, so I will add to your point like this. In the event that you are the one that leaves the marital home, then you have to essentially do what I did after I got kicked in the nuts my first time in the courtroom. I basically I've told the story before, so a lot of y'all probably know it. How yes, I had to take pictures of them every day with a date camera with the month, date, time, and year in the corner of the screen, and write everything down on a calendar. And I kept log of everything. I had pictures pictures on the date camera that lined up with everything that I logged in. I had the whole, put it in a spreadsheet, the whole works. Yeah,
Mhm.
I had. So if you do all of that from the start, then you probably can defeat the marital home thing.
Mhm.
But when
Mhm.
the situation I was in, it was my word against hers.
Mm.
And she just said, "Oh no, he just abandoned us." And I'm like, they've been with me more than you.
Right.
And so because it was nothing documented, it was nothing in writing, nothing on paper, she just sided. I mean, then it goes back to that human bias
Human
that's
bias.
in
Yeah.
there. But also there is some legal language that explains that, I did only thing that was established and proven is that I was no longer living at the marital home. So that right there was enough. The moderator, the mediator, she actually told me after I explained and broke everything down to her, and I could look in her eyes, and I think she believed me. I honestly think she believed me. But she said, had you not left the marital home, I would be able to go with what you're saying and do the 50-50.
Mm.
But because you left it, she said she was put in a hard situation. Now, was she on some BS? Yes. In my opinion, she was still on some BS because I know she believed what I was saying. She just sided with her anyway.
Right. Right.
But
Right.
so that's the
Yeah.
thing. So
And
yeah.
I still see people in the chat, saying, the system's effed up. The system's effed up.
Yes.
The system. You said it. I've said it. And the lead attorney, who is also excellent. It's not that the system is messed up. It's the people who are administering the law, who are practicing the law. They're doing it in a way that jerks you. It's not necessarily the system, because again, there's no laws you can really change. You know what I mean? Most of the laws are pretty on the books. They're pretty fair. You know what I'm saying? It's nothing that
Well,
says
well, let's flesh this out. They're written fair.
that's what
They're so it's it's the execution and the practice of it.
the
They can
execution
write
and the
it
practice.
like people say that all the time. They say those laws are gender neutral. It's true. They are gender neutral, but they exercise them in a certain way. And so it, I understand when people are saying the system is messed up. And listen, it is messed up, but it's mostly messed up because of the people that are doing it. Now, somebody could argue otherwise, but either way it go, we're going to end up at in the same spot. Rather, it's the individuals who are running the system being biased against men, or rather the system in writing is biased against men. Either way it goes, it's biased against men. So to me, that's a irrelevant debate.
It is.
It's the same thing. The outcome is the same either way. That's where I'm at with that. The hood Haitian in the building. He says we should cancel all the folks working in the system by putting them on blast on. There you go, on blast on social media.
Hey,
Make
man,
them uncomfortable and find another profession.
I would love to do that, son.
That's actually not a bad idea. That
Great idea,
reminded me
sir.
of when Obsidian was talking about that dinner whore registry. When them chicks be out there dinner whoring it up, taking
Put them on the website.
Put them on the website. Yeah, all day.
That's wonderful. I would love to put the judge that was over mine. I would love to put her on. But even though, like I said, even though I got 50-50, she was horrible. She was horrible. I would love to do that.
Freeman's Journal in the building with the $5 super chat. And shout out to everybody put something on it. I be forgetting to play my drops. Like I said, I'm about to revamp all of this. But shout out to you. Shout out to everybody with the dropping the super chats on there. He says, men have to understand political levers. Judges are not omnipotent. The naming and shaming of judges is effective. It is done all the time. He's right on board with what we was just saying, more or less.
Yes.
Shout out to Freedman's Journal, and shout out to brother Xavier. Where we at?
Only from TPOT Media. Open your minds.
Once again, as I stated earlier, I will be on his show tonight. Me, brother Xavier, and SKC will be chopping it up on the subject of no matter what you do, no matter what you accomplish, you're still just a ninja to some people. All right. It's difficult to change the mind of these old mamas because the kids are viewed as property to them. Yes, that is very true. That was actually what I did, where my mind was at in the thumbnail when she said, but that's my child. Because even though y'all could have been married and raised the kid together from day one, in her mind, it's her child. Yeah. Like yeah, all day. A lot of them think like that. Where we at? I think that, shout out to Clue. Almost missed you. Shout out to Clue. He says, BR, you did the bare minimum. Don't bring up Paco the pillow biter.
Oh man, that show made me so upset. I wanted to come through the phone.
I almost jumped through the phone on him. Through the monitor on him. Constructive consultant in the building. He says, love the conversation between Bernard and Mike, but there's a song by the Isley Brothers called Love Put on the Corner. Don't OD on hopium, fellas.
Oh, okay.
Don't OD on hopium. What you mean?
So you're telling me there's a chance? Yeah!
Oh man, nah, I gotta. I'm not gonna take that. I'm not gonna take that part. But I gotta do, because all the little like clips and stuff that you got, man. Dog, you got your show running, man. That's hilarious, dog. They're one of my favorite movies too. Dumb and Dumber is amazing. Nah, man, but I don't think it's hopium. I think that we just have to attack. We can't, like, I think that is. Some of us can get to the point where we're attacking judges, right? Some of us can actually talk to some of these women, though. You know what I mean? Like, I think that like the example of Kevin Samuels was always a good example because everybody knows who he is. It's like the reason that they allow him to talk to women the way that he does, I mean, even though people are upset at it, it's because women like him. Let's be real. Like, he's a high value guy. So they allow it. You know what I'm saying? You know, they'll listen to a guy. Now, are they listening to him to the point where they were listening to Derrick Jackson? No, because his message is actually anti-Derrick Jackson. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, the only reason he's allowed to get this far is because women are saying, yeah, we'll listen to him. But they wouldn't listen to a guy who was 5'3", 270 pounds, you know, with a neck beard and living in his mama's basement. Like, they probably wouldn't listen to that. Even if he was saying the same talking points, they're going to listen to the guy. So what we have to do is we have to start talking to the women. And really, look, the stuff that's in this space, it's been moving rapidly. Like Kevin Samuels, like I remember Kevin Samuels at 70,000 followers. Like, I remember that. I remember that and it's not that anymore, and that's crazy. And everybody in the space is just moving so right. Even you, like I remember, like not of course this was 240 people in the chat right now. I remember it not being that. I
Oh
remember,
damn, you've been a while. You've been around a minute.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, and I used to just watch it, and like I say, when Obsidian was on and everything, and it's just like, okay, who's this guy I never seen before, Obsidian, and it's just like, oh, okay, cool. This is dope. And I think I saw when I started watching your show was around, I want to say like 2,000 followers, maybe 2,000 followers, somewhere around there. But it's just like everything is moving so rapidly. So I don't imagine that the message of the space is going to, go backward. It's probably going to keep going forward. So what we have to do is start like, okay, cool. Kevin Samuels is masking the real conversation, with this high value conversation, which I think that was either your observation or maybe Obsidian. I'm pretty sure it was yours.
That was mine.
Yeah, your observation. Whereas it's just like, yeah. The conversation is like that's the candy.
That's the carrot. That's the shiny object that he dangles in front of them to get them in the door. But truthfully,
he's talking about regular guys.
he's talking about regular guys, and he's talking about he's debating manosphere talking. He's inceptioning the world with manosphere talking points under the guise of the whole learn how to get a high value man thing. That's how I interpret this show. I don't know if that's deliberate on his part. I haven't talked to him about that, but that's what I see. That's what I see.
It seems as though he's deliberately doing it because really,
obviously,
the show, like again, like just some of the stuff that he does, I don't, like I said, and I don't know if it's, I don't know if he's just naturally that good. It seems like some of this stuff is just like he's setting them up to hit them with this obvious thing that's coming. And it's like, you watch his content long enough, you'd be like, oh, he about to do the thing to her. He's about to ask her what's her dress size, saying or whatever, you know what I mean? But yeah, like I think that the manosphere talking points in this regard too, with regard to men raising men, I think that again, it just has to be on the forefront. And then once we can push it and make women kind of see themselves, it becomes a lot easier. You know what I'm saying? It becomes a lot easier because, like I say, just from the women that I talk to in my day-to-day life, they know who Kevin Samuels is. So they're not like, they already know. And then they see some of, even some of my content, they'll know already, like, I'm not probably going to be able to get away with the thing that I do usually, whereas I make him jump through hula hoops for this and that. You know what I mean? So a lot of our talking points just have to be pushed forward. And it makes a lot of the lifting a little less heavy.
And also, importantly, men need to hear it too. And that's one thing I like about Kevin Samuels, that he's doing that, and he got I'm assuming a 50-50 male to female ratio. That's sort of what I see just in my observation. So I'm loving that too, that men are being, basically inceptioned with the truth as well. They understanding their value and their worth, and not to put up with no nonsense. But Drew M in the building says, had a guy in the military with me, didn't know he had a daughter until she was 11 years old. That's right, 11 years old. That is crazy. That is insane. Crazy. I don't know how. That's just insane. You probably got hit with back child support too for that shit. Okay, whatever. Come on, New. What do you mean? You guys think the amount of followers makes you a king? No, nobody thinks that. Nobody thinks
not
that.
At all. Not at all. Not at all.
There are people that push the narrative of that, but I don't know anybody who thinks that. Now, people do acknowledge somebody's success and congratulate somebody's success, but
if you get 1 million followers, that's hard to do. But what I would say is, like, no matter how many followers Bernard has had, he's this platform and the panel that he has and the guys, like I say, it's always been brilliant. At 1,000 followers, it was brilliant. So it's not. That doesn't make you the king. There are people who influence people with less followers. You know what I mean? Like you can have less followers, but be just so good at what you do. So, you know what I'm saying? Just so good at what you do that it influences other people. You know what I mean? And that's the way it's supposed to happen. Like everybody should be pulling from there. Kevin Samuels just mentioned JT Pocket Watcher. You know what I'm saying? He just mentioned him. He just like out of the blue. And I was like, oh snap. You know what I mean? But I saw JT Pocket Watcher, I think, here first. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. It's like a lot of the stuff that's going on. It's just like all the guys that I've seen here first, you know what I mean, are like, again, dope. But it's just like it doesn't matter. The followers don't matter. Like, I don't think that, at least.
Yeah. All right. Look, where was we at? We was about to. It was a few things that we was about to get into. One hurdle in the whole process is, damn. Okay, you already explained how you got custody. You was married. You had 2 kids, right? Yeah.
2 boys. Yep.
You had 2 boys, and so was that process actually easy or no, or was it a hard fight? Did like explain just the battle that you went through in the process?
Okay, so in the beginning, I was green, so I didn't know what I was doing whatsoever, and I went in, and I kept having to go to court, like for maybe like a good 2 years because she kept making up new stuff. So I think I went to court maybe like 5 or 6 times because I wasn't feeding the kid. I mean, I'm feeding my kids, but this is what she's writing. You know what I'm saying? That I'm not feeding.
Okay, so yeah, so she was on that bull. She was
Yeah, I'm not feeding my kids. I don't help them with homework. I have a podcast that disrespects women, so on and so forth. And it just got to a point where I was just like, every time I went to court, it got to a point where they were laughing at her, and I had to tell her,
whoa, why were they laughing at her? Well, before you answer that question, shout out to the shout out to the lead attorney. And yeah, I'm acknowledging him not because he runs an excellent program, but because he has a lot of subscribers.
yeah.
If you just got here, lead attorney, that's an inside joke. There's subscriber supremacy, I've heard, and the merits of the quality of someone's content is irrelevant. It's all about subscriber count.
Right.
But no, shout out to the lead attorney doing great work over there.
Great
Shout
work.
out to the lead attorney. But go ahead. What you were saying.
Yeah, so the first time I went to court after divorce, I had to go back into court, and she didn't like that my coworker, who was a woman, was picking up the kids from the school because, again, I'm working, and usually that was reserved for her because she got off of work, different schedules, whatever. And she wasn't going to do it. So I'm like, all right, cool. I'll get a girl who I work with. And she was mad at that. So I had to go to court because somebody who's picking up the kids is somebody she doesn't know to her. And the referee, because we went to a referee, I think she was still a judge, but they just called her a referee. Mm-hmm. She was like, ma'am, you can't tell him who he can have pick up the kid. You can't tell him what to do. You know what I'm saying? When he has the kids, he can kind of do whatever he wants to. And as long as he's not harming the kids. And then she was like, kind of laughing at her, like, ma'am, do you, are you okay? Do you need, therapy or whatever? And it was just like, it was so funny that, but for the first maybe hour of being there, treated me like trash. You know what I'm saying? Cut me off anytime I was talking, just the worst. And then eventually at the end,
was this in the courtroom or is this with the mediator?
In the courtroom.
Okay, so who was cutting you off? Her lawyer was cutting you off, or
not her lawyer? The judge, the person that was the person that was over the judge. We're sitting in front of the judge, and she's cutting me off when I'm talking. One thing that happened is that the brother that's not here. You know what I'm saying? He's not here. The brother that's not here, she said some things about my brother, and she described my brother as 7 feet tall. And
how tall is he?
He's 6'3". He's 6'3".
What did his height got to do with anything?
She was just describing my brother and saying some ridiculous things about my brother. But what happened was that the first thing that came out of my face was, hey, my brother's not 7 feet. He's not Shaq. And then she shut me down immediately. That's not relevant. I was like, well, she just said my brother.
You should have told her it wasn't relevant when she said it.
Exactly. So it was just she cut me off anytime I tried to dispute anything that she was saying, telling me that it wasn't relevant. That's what she kept doing. You know what I mean? Anytime I brought up.
Hold on real quick. Lead attorney, if you're still there listening, that link is in the chat for you. we had a question. Well, me and him, something about leaving the marital home because we had a little debate about that. I got a question I want to ask you about when it comes to getting custody and leaving the marital home, because he had a situation. Mike had a situation where Mike, the woman, left the marital home, but we were talking about how it's possible if the guy doesn't leave, if the guy does leave the marital home, does he still have a chance if he does, A, B, C, and D? We were breaking that down. And so if you're available, I don't know if you're busy right now, but if you're available, you can. We would love to pick your brain on that subject. But just in case, just putting that link out there for the lead attorney if he has a minute. But all right, go ahead.
Yeah, so that one was pretty. It was bad, but then eventually, like I said at the end, laughing at her. They were laughing at her, and then we got to the.
Are you saying they were laughing at her because she was saying such ridiculous things?
It was the ridiculousness of what she was saying, plus like you would have to almost be there. She was fumbling and mumbling and bumbling over all of her words. It sounded like she was lying. It sounded like she was reaching. It just sounded like she was. So they were kind of the judge, not they, the judge was kind of like smirking at her. The second time I went to court, it was kind of the same thing, more of the same thing. And then the third and the fourth time was more of the same thing. The fifth time I went to court, it just got ridiculous. Like the judge went to the point where she was she didn't care about anything that I was saying. She was just saying, well, what can we do about this child support? And then that's it. Like she just went straight to child support. She didn't ask about like how the situation was. She just went straight to what can we do about this child support? And I was like lost. You know what I mean? I was lost. I was like, hold up. Like there's no story. There's no nothing. And she just went straight to child support. And so a lot of the things that she was trying to do was really just fight for custody, try to take custody away from me. And, it was just to no avail because she couldn't prove that anything was going on. She would just say stuff, and look, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not the lead attorney. You know what I'm saying? The lead attorney would probably know, hey, like she doesn't really have a case, whoop, whoop, whoop. But I was losing sleep. I was losing sleep. So personally, it was just making me again, I was losing sleep. I wasn't sleeping because you'll get your court date maybe 2 months before. And I wasn't sleeping, you know what I mean? But eventually we got to the point where she just stopped. She just stopped taking me to court. But like I said, it was tough in the sense that if I wasn't, damn near perfect, I mean, I'm not a perfect person, but you have to be perfect.
I was just about to say, you do have to be perfect in that courtroom as a man. You do.
Yeah. If I wasn't damn near perfect, I would have lost my kids. Because 5 times, you can't go in and out of court 5 times and then come out unscathed, and I went in 5 times, after being divorced, which altogether probably like 8 times. I was in and out of court and then nothing. You know what I'm saying? I got my kids still, everything. And
she kind of just gave up. In other words,
she gave up. Yep, she gave up. You know what I mean? But being in the marital home, of course, establishing 50-50 custody ahead of time, you know what I mean, when there was no money involved. Of course, not going to the courtroom and, being belligerent or, cursing or anything like that. Present yourself as well as possible. And then just as much as possible, just don't get behind in child support, certainly. Because that was a question. Is he behind in child support? Is he behind in child support? So just as much as possible, just don't do that. But I don't know. I think
I guess the question is, do you think had she not gave up based off just the way that it was going in the courtroom, had she not gave up, how do you think they would have decided? You can never know, but just what do you think they would have done?
Yeah, by the 5th time, I just thought that she would keep losing. You know what I'm saying? Like by the 4th, 5th time, I was just like, oh, this is not going well for her, And I think I thought that. And then, by the 5th time, you know what I'm saying? When she saw the last time, it was just like, well, she kind of got the picture as well. You know what I'm saying? So it was, like I said, it wasn't easy emotionally, but like from asking, Let's skip to the end. Ask him if he'd do it all over again for a better looking piece of in-house.
In-house.
Am I gonna get married again? I'm imagining that's the question. I might end up getting married again. I mean, I don't see anything wrong with marriage. I see something wrong with the way I did it. You know what I mean? Like, it was just the way I did it was impossible. You know what I mean?
So you're telling me there's a chance?
Yeah!
Oh, I deserve that. I deserve that. I walked right into that. That was my fault. Thank you, Bernard, for bringing me back. So to answer your question, Zero, hell no. Oh my goodness, what was I thinking? That was
Man, listen.
amazing. I deserve
No,
it.
they do you. No, ain't no. I just had to play the clip, man. It's funny. It's
That's
funny. I
wonderful.
had to do it.
Good time.
You know, but put it like this:
Lee comes up though, man. I hope Lee comes up.
I feel like if you've been married before, you've had kids, you divorced, you got custody of your kids, you've done your civic duty. You served your time, you know. So it's almost like, you know, any relationship after that is, you know. Well, that's a whole nother show. That's a whole nother show. Getting deep into that one. Getting deep into that one. But
like, I hear all of that. This is what we want to know. Are you doing it again? Shoot, what is your problem? Tell us if you go do it again. Nah, man. I had.
Go ahead.
Yeah, my induction into the space, you know what I mean, was through Patrice O'Neal. You know what I mean? Like, finding Patrice O'Neal, going through my separation and everything, was just like, oh snap, this is next level thinking. And like, the idea of doing it again was just such, I was so far removed from it, because I was just like, nah, I'll never do it again, because it doesn't make any sense to do it again. And, you know, eventually you get, you know, from Patrice O'Neal to AMS to who has Tommy Sotomayor, all the guys, like all of the beginning guys, you know what I mean? Even so far back, I don't know if he's Manosphere necessarily, but Kane Carter, Hot Damn I Rock. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't know who Hot Damn I Rock is?
No.
Ah, man. So but as far back as Kane Carter. And
do you want more kids?
Do I want more kids? No.
Yeah.
I got 2 boys. I won. I like beat the game. I beat it, and they look exactly like me. I won. They do everything I do. One's good at math, the other one's super athletic. Like, they're the best of both worlds. Like, I won. So no.
Well, I don't want to turn this into a marriage show. I mean, we've had those shows, and I'm pretty much through with them. But I guess what it comes down to, after you've been married and you've had your kids and you don't want more kids, it is a legitimate question to ask. Well, what would be the ultimate benefit in it at that point? You know, because it does. You do get to that place. Like, when I see a man with no kids and he want a family and he don't want to be a baby daddy, and like I can I sympathize with his hopium because, you know, you don't want to just knock some chick up and have some kids, and like, so but yeah, I guess it is a fair question that I struggle to come up with a logical reason why, outside of kids, why to go and get married again. It's hard to find a logical reason, you know. It is. I mean,
I don't think that I saw somebody in the chat say Patrice O'Neal got married. He didn't.
Yeah.
He didn't ever get married.
Oh, he didn't get married?
That didn't happen. He didn't get married. She had a ring, but they didn't get married. Yeah, nah, that didn't happen. But I mean, you know, he still was with her.
Tax benefits.
So as a person who was married, and there are tax benefits, trust. As a person who was married, the tax benefits aren't like that. Like, I do it for you like this. if you never get divorced, of which 51% of marriages end in divorce or whatever, and I think it's worse in the black community. If you never get divorced, great. But since half of them end in divorce, the tax benefits versus losing half your shit is not a good deal. All right. And this is another thing that I want people to understand, because women always say this, alimony is for Dr. Dre. Y'all are worried about alimony, and that's for Dr. Dre. Alimony is a line on your divorce papers. It just is. It's just there. It's absolutely there. I know this for a fact. If you have money, if you make an income, you can pay alimony. That's just what it is. You know what I mean? It's not a, you can be Dr. Dre or you can be Andre Jenkins from the west side of Detroit. It doesn't matter. They can take money from you in alimony. So the tax benefits versus the divorce settlement, I just don't see how anybody could think that the benefits are worth the divorce settlement. You know what I mean? Because 51% of the divorces are ending in, 51% of the marriages are ending in divorce. So tax benefits relative, yeah.
Right. Damn it. What was we on before we were rudely interrupted by Zero asking that question?
We were
asking about the no, we were talking about the whole process and whether or not you think you would have ended up. Here, just pour some more in there. Thank you.
I'd end up winning.
Had she not quit, what do you what you thought the outcome would have been had she not quit?
I still would have, if she didn't quit, if she was taking me to court, like still today, like currently taking me to court, I think I would have won them all. I just feel like I would have won them all, and only because I'm going by the fact that I won the previous ones, so that eventually it just gets to a point where it's okay, cool. She's taking me to court.
When you say won, what exactly did you win?
That's the point. You said it. That's beautiful. I didn't win anything. I'm saying I won because I didn't lose. You're right. Beautiful. You're right. You're 100% right. I didn't win anything. I didn't lose. So I don't think that I would lose any of those. But saying won is just so ridiculous. I'm ridiculous. I think 50-50 custody is a win. That's how we is. But it shouldn't be a win. It should be normal. It should be normal. It just should be normal. And that the fact that it's not, it's just dumb. There's this book, and I got to get into it. I guess he's called one of the founders of the white manosphere space. Who was it? Warren Farrell. He has a book called Warren Farrell. He has a book called the Boycott Crises. I got to get into that book. In the book, at least from what Jordan Peterson was describing the book as, it was a book talking about the benefits and the negatives of having your father versus not having your father prominently in your life, even to the point of like the 75% to 25%, which is how the custody time is split up now. It's split up, they get 75% of the time, we get like 25% of the time, on average. And even that, which relegates us to being weekend dads, because 168 hours, 42 hours is 25%, 48 hours is actually 2 days. So it's less than 2 days actually, but that's what we have. And your father not being prominently, positioned in your life just leads boys down a very, very dangerous road. And like, I got to get into that book. I got to read it. But like those talking points have to become more prominent in this space as well, even though they are, you know what I'm saying? But it has to get to a point where it makes like, it has to be over the salaciousness of like women are trash or men are trash, or, you know what I'm saying? The gender war stuff, because it doesn't make it over that, you know what I'm saying? Over the gender war stuff. So you got to get to a point where but like I said, I think I would have won them all, you know what I mean? If I was going to court today, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Did you have to pay some alimony or no?
I didn't have to pay alimony, but what happened was that she asked me about my 401k. And the mediator looked at me and was like, well, she's entitled to it if she wants it. And I mean, like, because I just didn't know anything and I didn't have a lawyer, I was looking like an idiot in there. And I just said I didn't have one. It's like, I don't have one. And she's like, well,
did you lie? You lied?
Yeah. Why?
Damn.
I just said I didn't have one. I was like, I don't have one. And then she was like, well, do you believe him? She's like, well, no. She said, well, this is what you'll have to do then. You'll have to pay $500. We can do an investigation. It's a one-time fee. If he's telling the truth, you don't get the refund. If he's not telling the truth, and then you get half of it. And she was like, you gonna pay the $500? She said, well, no. He's like, well,
wow.
Yep. And then I was all, but
most women would pay that $500 in a heartbeat. They would go sell some. They would go get that $500 one way or another.
Hey man, she would have had me. She would have had me, but she just didn't. And you can't. And the thing about it is that you can't renegotiate alimony. You can renegotiate child support. Child support is always up for negotiation, but you can't renegotiate alimony. At least not in Michigan. You can't do it. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, she would have got busy on me. She'd have got busy. I'd have been working for her. But I mean, just is what it is.
Oh, you're in Michigan. You're in Detroit.
I'm in Detroit, west side of Detroit. West side.
Okay, cool. That's what's up. You're an hour and 20 minutes or so away from me. Hey, when I get stuff set up in studio, I'm gonna get a whole in studio setup. I'll be hitting up you and your brother.
You're my sick brother.
yeah. Y'all can make it in studio.
Yeah, that works. I appreciate that, man. Appreciate that.
But dang, what was I getting at? It was something else that if I wrote something down in my notes. The alimony, the guns of the. Oh shit, I forgot what it was going on. Well, no, when Zero said this is a marriage show, I didn't even know he was married before this show. I just thought we was just about to be talking about dads, men raising men. But yeah, we stumbled into a divorce. This ain't a marriage discussion. This is a divorce show. This is a divorce show.
Right.
Yeah, but no, check. Little Big Nate said, why would anybody live in Michigan? And I was born here.
I was born here, but I have a choice. Detroit, you think I would have chose Detroit? I love Detroit though, but I would have chosen.
Oh, right on, Ike. Right on. When I get it all set up, yeah, go on and fly on out. Get yourself flued out down here. But no, dang, we're an hour and a half in. All right, one shout out to number 16 in the building with the $5 super chat. Shout out to everybody who's been supporting the stream. Appreciate each and every one of you. One thing that I want to get into, because this is to me, this is the hardest part of the conversation, because you was talking about, when they first started charging you up with being going off that hopium. I be going off the hopium sometimes too. I ain't gonna lie, but when you talked about the notion, the concept, the idea of convincing women, like we all can agree that the simple idea of men having to raise men, that's just a really simple and easy concept. That's a 1 + 1 = 2 type of discussion for me. It should be for everybody, but the fact of the matter is, what would have to be done in order to sell that to women is essentially looking at them right in the face of everything that they benefit. The relationship ended, got kids, whether it was a divorce or just a relationship that ended. They got the kids. They can have the kids 80% of the time or 90% of the time or whatever, and collect a check for kids that they got full control over. In order for them to be convinced that those kids not collecting that check and the kids being with the dad at least half the time, they would have to have something that a lot of black people don't have, and that's understanding delayed gratification. A lot of black people, have a hard time with that. The delayed gratification that they will have to understand is that the outcomes and overall benefits of the long term future and sustainability of the child would have to be something that they would that would have to get to the frontal lobe somehow, and that is the most difficult thing if we're not talking about any laws changing by force. Because I'll be honest, I don't think I have a hard time just even skipping all the way to the point of the laws being changed in a really dramatic way really soon. Maybe small steps, but that's another story. Just you talked about just the whole process of selling and convincing to essentially a society that this is better. This is a better way to go about it. You're talking about essentially grandiose ideas, and we touched on that earlier in the show when it was less people in here. We got more people in here now, so let's explore the process of convincing convincing a society that if it's going to be all these separations and breakups and families broken up and men over here and women over there, that bare minimum we need the boys to go. Are you saying that the boys need to go with the man, let the girls stay with the woman, or what are you saying? Like let's flesh all that out.
All right. I would submit that boys at 6 years old should be mostly, if not exclusively, with their dads. And not for nothing, if we could convince them that this is not a money grab, convince them that it's not a money grab. And look, also too, I know that talking to the young ladies that I talk to, and maybe it's, just, they liked me already, because we were dating. But talking to the young ladies that I was talking to, it became easier to digest when I said, hey, that son looks up to that man and you're downing him, and it's no just cause. Like, you're just saying he's a horrible person because he did you wrong. He may have cheated on you, he may have lied to you, he may have not been the best leader of all time, whatever. But it's almost like you got to do the groundwork. If we can all do our part to kind of convince women on the ground level. And then two, also, I think that a lot of the talking points sort of make it to the big time. Like the idea that Black fathers are amongst the best fathers. I mean, the best fathers. Charlemagne the God actually said that on The Breakfast Club, but he's such a panda bear that he could only say it like one time. I think, like, again, a lot of the talking points that show us as better parents, even the studies that show that single fathers give better outcomes than single moms. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of the numbers, like, because I would never know that Black fathers were that great. I mean, I can just look around myself and look around the fathers that I know, and I can tell that, hey, these guys are good. They're, coaching their kids' team. They're, playing with their kids. They're
real quick. And when I coach basketball, I saw way more dads there, Black dads, than what you would expect.
Exactly.
Yeah, I wasn't buying the hype on a lot of that. I mean, yeah, it's still a problem. It's still some pookie out there, serial impregnating women and not taking care of the kids. Like, I mean, we know they exist and they a problem. They're a huge problem. But I see lots of dads out there, lots of them.
And two, it's just like it's like, fortunately, we do have a guy like, what I'm saying, like Kevin Samuels on the relational side, but I don't think that we have a lot of on on the front of parenthood, the parenthood side. We need maybe a guy, a guy that can just be like, okay, this is what's best for the kids, this is what's actually best for the kids, so that we can actually push this agenda. And look, it doesn't push women out because they don't lose. You actually benefit. Like, again, I know that I'm better because I got sons and I'm raising them.
How do they benefit?
They get better men. They get better men. They get better men.
No, it's true. And this reminds me of a Jordan Peterson conversation when the woman was like, well, what motivation do we have to improve the the quality of men. And she asked, and he said, well, what kind of men do you want?
Yep.
And so, but see, here's the problem with that. If it's a long-term gratification, delayed gratification thing, meaning that the next generation of men will be better if women today make a decision that's going to benefit the next generation of men, and which will ultimately benefit the next generation of women and the next generation of children underneath that. Women today would have to make a decision for the future. See, that's the tough part. I know that they want to see, I mean,
they believe the children are the future.
if they can snap the finger right now and get better men in front of them that they could date and deal with and mate and all of that, okay, they'll be in. They'll be in.
Mm-hmm.
But if they gotta make a decision that really would limit them today, but have a better overall benefit for society tomorrow, that's almost an impossible ask.
You're saying that it benefits the future generations of
Mm-hmm.
men. It benefits this generation of men. Like, again, not to say that I would be a horrible person if I wasn't a dad, but certainly I'm a lot more focused because I got sons.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because I'm raising them. So that makes me a better man now. You know what I mean? And because you can't be a great father and a horrible person, like, you kind of got to straighten up. You know what I mean? And look, there's going to be degrees of good, if you will. You know what I mean? Some people may be much better than me at being a father. Some people may not be as good, you know what I mean, at being a father as me. But it's going to be degrees, but it makes you a better person to be a better father. You know what I mean? So it's not just helping the generations beyond, you know what I mean? It's also helping, like, the 40-year-old men now, you know what I mean, to be better people. And I mean, and look, ultimately, we go through so much. We have to raise these kids by ourselves. Like, you kind of got to put stuff in women's face and almost, like, again, like, I hate to keep bringing a guy up, like, almost just put a mirror to them with how they're doing relationships, how they're doing parenting. Like, this is how y'all are doing parenting, and this is the thing. But we don't have, like, there's no Kevin Samuels of parenting. There's no, guy who just says, this is what I'm going to focus on. And we need that, because ultimately women need to see themselves. And then, like, when it's kids, they're like, the numbers are so clear with parenting and, with the outcomes being better for 2-parent households versus, one-parent households, and being better with single fathers as opposed to single moms. And I don't know what the percentage of, I've heard it in the manosphere said, what's the percentage of inmates that are raised by single moms? Like, was it something like 80% or something like that?
Vast majority.
Yeah, the vast, like, they have to know these things, just like we know them. They have to know these things. It's like, the more, I mean, like, look, is it going to be undeniable? No. You know what I mean? But, like, I think that we can have a tipping point if we get to a point whereas we're saying these things just as prominently as we're talking about the relational issues, because the relationship stuff, I agree, but I've heard that, and the solution to that is ultimately being put in front of women. Like, hey, you got to kind of pick where you at. You can't be 300 pounds, 5'6", you know what I mean? And, think you're going to get a high value man. Like, you got to kind of pick in your range. You know what I mean? That's the obvious solution that women, or the obvious conclusion that women are coming to. You know what I mean? But, like, on this side of things, I mean, even though there are benefits to it, just like there are benefits in the relational way, I think that we have got to establish some facts in this space too, as far as parenting. We just got to establish them, because it's not being done. It's just not being done, you know what I mean, to the degree that, like I say, the gender war stuff is being done, the salacious, innuendo that happens, you know what I'm saying? Like, people want to talk about, Brittany Renner or whatever. It's like, it's not, and even with her, like, she's a parent, you know what I'm saying? She's a freaking mom. Like, you should have to, like, have some kind of qualifications to be a mom. They just let her be a mom. She just get to be on the internet talking about she's not sorry. Like, it's like,
it's amazing the amount of things that somebody, like, some of the stuff that women will post on their Instagram, and then also post pictures of them and their kids Like some of the you could just go to just some Instagram chick page and you see enough just scrolling down that's worth calling CPS.
Oh, right,
Like,
right. I'd be like, if they were smart, they would get they would get a family page and a hoe page. Like,
man, yeah,
just
yeah.
why not?
Why?
I'm tired of seeing ass, and then your son. Like that doesn't make any sense. Yeah,
That's exactly how I be.
it's just
It's like you could go ahead and have your little your page for your booty cheeks that you got 100,000 subs on, and then just a smaller page for family and friends where you probably got 1,000, 750, you got 750 followers on that one.
yeah, the people
Family
you
and
know.
friends, people you actually knew, went to school with. That do that. But your extracurricular or business endeavors that involve your booty cheeks, we don't need to see. Nobody needs to see
OnlyFans,
your children on that one. Yeah,
right? Your OnlyFans, and then your son is like the next. Like it's just it's sad, but they let them be moms, and it's
yeah.
not like Brittany Renner should not. I mean, like, look, I don't know who PJ is.
But hold on, but that's the hypocrisy when they interrogate the shit out of the father in the courtroom about everything that's going on with him. Like,
Did you have to take pictures of your house?
I had some ready to go, but no, I didn't. That wasn't asked. But oh wait, actually, no, I take that back. I did because it was something that she said that wasn't right at the house, so I had to take a picture of something to prove something. So yeah, no, so I did have to do that. But again, that's how it works.
That's how thoroughly get. And it's like when you get Brittany Renner she just gets to be a mom. She just like this should take her out of contention for having custody, but it doesn't. It's just that like if you're on Love and Hip Hop, you should not be able to be a mom. That's immediately you should be like, well, we're not gonna let you be a mom, and you gonna fuck that little boy up. He done. You know what I'm saying? His life is over. Go ahead, read it.
Oh no, okay. Well, shout out to number 16 in the building. He says, why is the onus on us to convince them that being in a children's life 50-50 by default is worth it? Can't force them to see kids other than a check.
I would agree up to this point. I think that we haven't like as great a job as the manosphere has done in making women see themselves in a relational way. We haven't made them see themselves parentally. We got to make them see themselves parentally because it does the work for you when you make them see themselves. Because it's women that I have seen like they literally have done a 180 with regards to their understanding of what men want just because this space exists. And like I say, like then you have somebody just pop out and they're the guy now. Like, Kevin Samuels, a couple other guys that just they pop out and they're the guy now. It's like, yeah, this guy. But then that means we have to be accountable. That means we have to be accountable now. Now we have to stop doing and we have to stop breeding with breeding dangle. Yeah, whatever this guy said. Whatever the next Shane Vicious. I forgot his name of the guys that come on this show and are amazing. Shane Vicious.
He don't come on the show. He just in the chat room.
He's never on the show?
No, he just in the chat room.
You know what? You know where else he's at? Shane Vicious is also on Donovan Sharp's chat room. That's why I hear his name all the time, Shane Vicious. But the idea of convincing them is letting them see themselves. I think that where we quit at is that we don't make our women see themselves. You know what I mean? And what was easy about, like I say, the way that the manosphere is going with regards to relationships, it makes it easy because a lot of women now have to see themselves. Like I say, that the reason the Instagram is better than the YouTube is because women have to show their face. So it makes what they're saying hit a little harder because these women look like the women that we see every day. You know what I mean? Like and we got to start making women see themselves so that, I don't know that women would necessarily go on an Instagram or a YouTube show and say, my baby daddy ain't this and that and the third. And now you have to convince me as to why I'm going to let him be in, my kid's life like that. But some way, shape or form, we have to make them see themselves. Cause like I say, with the women that I've talked to, it was easy to make them see themselves because I showed them what was happening to me. Because this is the thing too. The only baby daddies that women speak highly of are the ones they're related to. So their brothers, they'll say, "Oh, my brother is a good dad. It's just that crazy broad." You know what I'm saying? Or, or their sons. They'll speak highly of their sons as baby daddies as well. "Oh, my son is a good dad. I raised him to X, Y, and Z. It's just that crazy broad over there." And that, like, making women see themselves say that, it's priceless because they stop. They immediately stop. It's like, so you think that your son is a great baby daddy and that his baby mama is just crazy. What do you think that your baby daddy's mother and sister think about you? Because you're doing the same thing to him that this girl is doing to your son. It's like we have to be able to make them see themselves, and they're easy ways. Like, that's an easy example. It's just like, yeah, like I like telling my kid's mom, like, you're not gonna be happy or understand me until somebody do this to your son, which is our son. You know what I'm saying? It's our son. But some little girl is going to do the exact same thing to our sons, and then you're going to be mad at them. You know, you got to make them see themselves. And like the convincing them part, like, this is what's best. Now you got to shame them. Shame them. Shame. Do you have a drop for that?
No, I'm plotting on it. I just recently watched, just binge watched Game of Thrones. And thank you, Leo Anthony, for dropping that. I just recently binge watched Game of Thrones, and there was a part on there where they were doing that, and it was a shame when somebody basically had to do Cersei had to do that butt naked perp walk through the whole city with people throwing damn manure on her and shit. Like, I was
yeah. See, but, that's the thing. I don't even watch Game of Thrones. I know that's from Game of Thrones. Like, I've never watched, like, I've watched like maybe a couple episodes here and there, but I've never really watched it. It's just in culture. So you know that part is about is Game of Thrones. You need that. Shame. Just for the guy that said the condom broke. Shame. We need the shame button for him. And the ooh baby, I like it raw.
Snuggle 668 in the building says, to men of the panel, do the people you're talking about have the ability to think for themselves, yes or no, or give examples if any? If you understand Snuggle's question, by all means answer it.
To the men of the panel, do the people you are talking about have the ability to think for themselves? I would assume she's talking about the moms.
I never understand Snuggle's questions.
Well, well, everybody has the ability to think for themselves. So yes, but obviously people are influenced by things that present, a benefit to them. You know what I mean? And people move based on fear, shame. Women don't lie about their body count because it's just for sport. They lie because it's shame. You know what I mean? And we kind of got to get to a point where there's a little bit of shame, but also some benefit in the idea of, getting to a point where there's 50-50, you know what I mean, in custody. And really, I'm not even talking 50-50, really. I mean, the play is mostly with the dad, you know what I mean, if you're a son. That's the play. To me, that's the play. Because I mean, there's just things at a certain point, like my kids are teenagers, and their mama is not going to be teaching them how to be a man, and they need those dress rehearsals daily. Like, that's just what they need. So the idea is mostly with your dad. I mean, by 15 and 16, you're pretty much the guy that you are. You're just going to be a different, maybe a better or, a modified version of it. But by the time you're 16, it's just like, this is the kind of guy you're going to be. You ever been to like to a high school reunion? You go and you see the people who you went to high school with, and like they congregate in the same spaces. It's just like, like this guy is still the same guy from when we were 16, 17, 18. You know what I mean? Like, no, people don't really change all that often. So I think that yes, people can think for themselves, but they just need some convincing. You know what I mean? And I think that shame really works. Like fat shaming, like in this space, people say fat shame, like you shouldn't fat shame people, but yeah, it works. It works. It makes people get on their job and do what they're supposed to do.
Yeah, I agree. Shaming does work, and a lot of people they're giving you a hard time in the chat room
They are.
on the hopium. They're giving you a real hard time. But one thing I will say, and look, y'all will say all the time that people are susceptible. They can be controlled and manipulated by media. Some of y'all will say on the one hand that the white man is manipulating and controlling people by media, but when we talk about media platforms inceptioning people with certain ideas, like no, that's not possible. They can't be inceptioned with ideas. Now there are some people that are bullheaded and hell bent on grinding and digging their heels into their fuckery, and they ain't changing. If ands or buts about that. But if we concede the simple point that people are influenced by media, and we can acknowledge that this type of media that's shining a light on the BS that women do, that over a period of time, it will change the thought process of a lot of people. Hashtag not all, maybe not even most, but media does influence people. That just is what it is. Um, so that's where I'm at with it, and that's why I think overall what the manosphere is doing is a net positive. Is a net positive. I mean, if y'all drawing that hard of a line that there's no such thing as media influence on individuals, then y'all shouldn't even be here. Y'all should just be like, okay, all you niggas just shut down your channel today because media influence don't mean anything.
Right.
but here y'all are. Some of y'all went from blue pill to red pill and thinking the way you think now, partially, not only, I mean, your life experience was showing you one thing, but it probably wasn't until you heard Patrice O'Neal break some stuff down and you said, damn, I am doing things backwards.
Yep.
So there's some people who their life experience is going to show them one thing, and they could hear Patrice O'Neal, they could hear something, and then they could just be like, no, la, can't hear you, and then just go back to doing the same thing over and over again. But there's some people that hear it and they are affected by it. And if enough people are putting the right message out there in the media, then yes, I do think it will move the needle. And I think y'all are being disingenuous to deny that completely. But I understand the cringe, and you see, we have to convince these women. Okay, that
That's
part,
crazy.
that
It is.
it's some cringe in there, but overall, you can't deny the power of media influence.
And that's most of my point is that, most of my point is that it's not we have to convince these women, as in, like, I mean, I'm pretty sure it's easier for a guy, for the guys, the panda bears, to convince women because they're obviously giving them what it is that they want, even though the net, there's no real net benefit other than feeling good, right? So that if you're listening to the Derek Jacksons, the Charlotte, the guys, the panda bears of the world, they don't really get you the result that you want because men are not necessarily this thing that they're talking about. So you get to feel good about yourself, but also in feeling good about yourself, you still are alone in the process. So you just get to feel good about being alone.
Holy shit, like, truth, this ain't nothing to do with black or white. Y'all make too many things about that. We were talking about men raising their children. White men are going through the same thing when it comes to raising their children after a separation, breakup, or a divorce. So
white men go through more.
Yeah, so I don't know why you're drawing that line right there. This isn't about sticking your dick in the daggle. That's not the discussion. like man.
Yeah, and I think that too, like, even with that, like,
he didn't mention black or white. Okay, he said, okay, hold on. He says, what works? Finding new and better women
and starting families with women.
You didn't mention black or white. Okay. What works is finding new and better women and starting families with women who actually like black men. Well, I agree with that. I agree with that. Since you did a step back. You did a step back, even though we know what you meant when you said finding new and better women.
Yes,
we know what you meant, nigga. You gonna pull a James Harden step back on me? Okay, all right. Yeah, I ain't gonna strip you on the way up. I'm gonna let you get the shot off.
Right.
But
Take better. Take the word better out and insert the word that you meant, dog.
Like, this ain't even that conversation. This
Right.
ain't even that conversation, man. We came here to just talk about men raising men. That's what we. That's
It's
what
just
we
like I say,
talking
just
about here.
like I say, the net positive of men raising men is I just think it's obvious. Like no woman, even the best woman in the world, is not better than a mediocre man at being a man. You know what I mean? So that the net positive is always that you just get better men. And two, like I say, as the teacher of my sons, it's making me better in the process because it's things that I know I would have never learned or did. I mean, not that I'm an idiot, but I didn't read as much as I read before I was like had kids and was actually reading with them and they reading books that I read. Like I didn't have a reason to, you know what I mean? Now I would listen to content and, do, Audible and things of that nature, but I didn't read as many books as I read now because I got kids that read at the level, can read the books that I read. So they may get, you know what I mean? Like, when I first got Powernomics, the whole packet, I was reading it with my son, and I just don't think that I would have been doing that had I not had kids, and like I said, it makes men better. It makes the men better as well. Like you mentioned that you're an 8, you're a AMC 8, you know what I'm saying? And it's just like, I mean, like investing and whatnot. Like I always had like a 401k regular, investments, but like personal investments really didn't start to maybe like a year ago. And like, I'm learning and I'm also teaching my son, it's like the net pot is such a net benefit for men to do it because when boys see their mom doing stuff, it's a woman doing things. When boys see their dads doing stuff, they see themselves 20 years from now doing the thing, and I think that's just important. I mean, and look, I'm saying all this stuff and it's just like, yeah, you just got to make women understand that, but I don't believe that they don't have a heart. I don't believe them to be inherently horrible people, but they do have their nature that makes them say, well, I'm hurt by this relationship thing, so that I'm going to hurt him in the family court, and I know that's, I mean, like I have a personal testament, testimony as far as that goes, but I think that it's a lot easier to, I mean, like shame works, you know what I mean? But also give them and present them the net benefit. Because I don't think anybody's really presenting that benefit, the actual benefit. I don't think people are saying, you get better kids. I think that the thing in Black culture specifically is just that it's better when the kids are with the mom because moms are nurturing. And that's the end of the story. That's just the end of the story. There's no other thing that's being said. They're not saying, maybe 50-50 does work. Nobody's inserting that into anything. And then there's no, of course, women aren't looking for the numbers because they hate numbers. Numbers are their least favorite thing in the world. Are they still killing me in the chat, by the way?
Yeah, for the most part. Number
Okay,
16
cool.
in the building said, didn't Cersei blow up a bunch of shot because she would not be shamed into being a better person? It was more to it than that, but Cersei was one of the worst human beings on earth. So I think Cersei and
Paul Game is saying they are heartless. Goodness me.
shit, what is it? Hold on. I had to take care of something. Damn it, I can't remember. Cersei Lannister and Sansa Stark are two completely different people, but both of them did different types of fuckery during the show. But you could see there was levels to it. Sansa didn't have the balls to blow up a small village like that over her selfish whim. So everything is on a bell curve. Like, I mean, there's some people who going to be what they are. They're going to be the monster that they are. But then there's some people who not a monster. So I mean, I don't know. I hate when y'all pretend like female nature is just one flat line. It's across the board. It is what it is. Like, it's in the male's nature to be industrious and provide, build, work, and earn money. But all men do that at different levels. So there's levels to everything. Everything is on a bell curve. So I don't like when y'all draw straight lines when it comes like that. That's where y'all are being illogical. Some of y'all don't realize it, but that's where you start being illogical when you do that. Snuggle668 in the building says the fact that you said that women have the ability to think for themselves mean that you are dealing with a set of people that intentionally mean you harm. What do you mean he's dealing with a set of people that intentionally mean? Okay, I mean, if you're talking about his ex-wife, then yeah, she did.
Yes, of course, of course. But
yeah.
I'm thinking this. It's like I'm the only ex-husband that she has. So I'm the only guy that she is trying to hurt that way. But like what happens is that when she dates, another guy, if she's saying, yeah, my kid's father is such a horrible person, if that guy is saying, well, look, I'm not gonna listen to you down this guy who's the father of your kids. Not to say that you're lying, but I have the same thing being said about me, and I know it's not true. Like that conversation for me was simple to have with a woman that I'm dating. You know what I mean? Like I can listen to you, but only for so long. Like, please understand, like, I'm not saying you're lying, but like I'm being lied on. So what do you think I think about this conversation? Like, that's a simple conversation. So it's not about influencing my ex-wife because she don't give a fuck about me.
Yeah. I mean, that's the weird place people are going with this.
Yeah, because that's what people are going.
With my ex-wife, it is no convincing her. Okay.
Oh.
I have her saved in my phone as Lucy Fur. That's good. I know what she is.
That's good.
And I'm not trying. There's no convincing that. Okay, let me not be.
Yeah. I mean, but
it's no convincing that.
Yeah, but it's not
what's happening here.
Right. It's not my job to convince my ex-wife, though. It's some other dude's job. It's some other penis's job to convince my ex-wife. I'm in the business of convincing the woman that I'm dealing with, if she has kids, you know what I mean? That, hey, that's probably not the best idea. Chill out on all of the, all the the bad talk about your kid's father. Give him more time with the kids. The boys are gonna need him, so on and so forth,
Right on. The link in the chat, anybody can come on up and chop it up on this. A lot of y'all that got a little smoke in the chat room for Mr. Mike Perkins. Y'all can come on up. We got I said Beige Moses. Friedman's Journal.
That's amazing.
Friedman's Journal in the building, going under the moniker Beige Moses today. So go ahead, you got the floor, you got the mic.
No, yeah, I think it is hard out here for men. I'm married, and I think about the potential for divorce or a negative separation all the time. I think we as men, we can't be lulled into 20th century notions of marriage. I mean, it's just different. Social media is different. Hey, we can be in 50-50 marriages, and what they're selling is just wrong. We should tell them, look, 50-50 marriage, that can be a problem. They're
when you talking about 50-50 marriage, you do know when he was talking about 50-50, he was talking about 50-50 custody of the kids after the marriage.
Yeah, I understand.
Oh,
I'm talking about 50-50 bills and all that. Because women just aren't built for that. They're gonna end up resenting that one way or another. And like some of the other channels they're like, you lose your job, you're on the shot clock quick. And women even making a little bit more than you. I mean, there are those unicorns, right? There's a YouTube channel that says, oh, hey, I made more than my husband and we retired early. Sure. But the vast majority of those women are going to be upset or see a man as less if they're making less. So just tell a guy, level up, get an extra job, something. Sometimes that's just what it takes. And if you got to put that to the side as a nest egg, just in case something bad does happen, shit, at least you got half of that. Is better than being lulled to sleep like everything is, hey man, we're doing good, making this, as far as me as a man, that's what I would want to hear. Just take that extra time and protect yourself.
How long have you been married, Beige Moses?
Going on 4 years.
Going on 4 years. Oh dang, you did that fairly recently. All right, you sleeping with one eye open, I hope.
No, not that. I'm just I'm just
Congratulations to
aware.
you. I want to throw that on there.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm just aware, not men can't be asleep, because how many guys, get in that predicament and have no idea, what they get divorced and then find the red pill. Like, wait a minute, I could have done things completely differently. I would have made completely different choices, maybe completely different women,
Yeah, that was my realization, like during the separation process. It was just like, wow, I was really doing this whole thing wrong, because 50-50, what I find, very funny about 50-50, 50-50 only suggests that men regress. Like, it only works if we regress. 50-50 does. If we're not, doing more of the work, the heavy lifting, you know what I mean? And financially or whatever, then it doesn't work, because that means we can't be the best version of ourselves in a leader position. And we have to be, because in relationships, we take the most risk. You know what I mean? Divorce is clearly a big risk for us. So we take the most risk in departing from a relationship. Just like with women take more of a risk in sex. So I understand why women are so protective of sex. I get it. They take more of a risk. They're even more susceptible to STDs than men are, which is like crazy. They of course pregnancy, of course the R word. They take a bigger risk. So I understand men in relationships, we take a bigger risk. So we should lead in these situations, because if it don't work out, I've never heard a woman in my life ever say, it was my fault, I messed that up. No, we usually take the blame. You know what I mean? So we're taking most of the risk. So the 50-50 aspect, it doesn't work, because the person who's taking the most risk should probably be the person in the lead.
All right. Jackie Jack in the building. You have the floor. You have the mic. Welcome to the show.
Hello. Do you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. You sound like you're a little low.
Okay. I'm driving. That's why I was asking.
Okay.
Hold on. Is it a little louder?
No, you're all right. We can hear you. I just was saying it's just a little low, but it's all right. We can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay. I just called in because I heard him talk about trying to convince women to see the benefits of men raising their children. I think it, in my perspective of like having a lot of female friends, I think it comes down to women have equated having power to being right. So they have the power to have their kids full custody, collect child support, all of that. They have equated that to, well, I must be the right person for them to be with because I have this power. And he thinks, some people say they're heartless. It's not even about being heartless. Not to me, from what I've seen. It's not even about being heartless. It's about just being in control, being in power. And people have given them the right, like he said earlier, the right to be mothers, the right to control where the child goes or who the child lives with, all that. People have given them the right, so they think that equates to power to them.
But then that equates to them being right. That's a very interesting point, and you see it again. You attract brilliance. When you were saying it, I'm like, that makes all the sense in the world. It just makes all the sense in the world. Yeah, that's probably enough of it. Do you know of the women that you know? And I hate to be the one asking questions. Of the women that you know, do they all have like real complaints about their kids' fathers? Like, are you noticing like they say a lot of bad things about their kids' fathers?
Yeah, they all say bad things about their kids' fathers.
Yeah.
It's like the go-to thing.
Do you personally know a lot of like of the men that you know, went to high school with, college, in-laws or like cousins, brothers, whatever? Do you know a lot of deadbeat dads, or do you know like percentage wise, how many deadbeat dads do you actually know?
I would say 10% is very, very low.
Yeah,
like most
that's
men
what I
I know
always find to be.
are active.
That's what I always find to be funny. Like women in their experiences don't really know a lot of deadbeat dads, but if you listen to women talk and what they hear about it a lot. And so it's just like, well, do you believe your eyes or your ears? Because you're hearing about a lot of deadbeat dads, but you're not seeing them, because nobody's gonna say, well, yeah, I hang around with this guy, and yeah, he's a horrible dad. He's not feeding his kids, and right. So nobody really sees as many deadbeat dads as you hear about. So yeah.
Yeah, but I think that people have a hard time being on that, like seeing it from the outside. They have a hard time. Well, from what I see, they have a hard time seeing it that it could be them that's doing the same thing. They have a hard time seeing that because they always think their situation is different. That's all I always hear, but my situation is different. You don't understand.
Yeah. Well, did having that power in that situation, did that make you feel that you was right?
I'm sorry.
Having power in a situation like that, assuming that you have kids, did that make you feel that like you were right in the situation because you just?
I don't have kids. I don't have kids. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
I don't have kids. No.
Okay. Yeah, I was trying to figure out if you were projecting a little bit right there, because but I think you are psychoanalyzing them correctly. That they think I have the power to do this, therefore it must make it right. It makes it okay. They wouldn't allow me to be able to do this if it wasn't okay for me to do this. So I think that is some good psychoanalysis of what's going on in their head. So yeah,
and I find too that women separate themselves from the judge's decision. Like, oh, the judge said that you only get weekends and every other weekend and one day out the week. The judge said that. It's like, well, the judge wouldn't have said it if you didn't request it. They separate themselves from the actual thing. It's like it's
no, the guy that I was telling you about earlier, who got the 4 daughters and everything. When because he knew, like I said, he was working so much because the child support was taking half of his money after the divorce. So he was working a lot, but when he got a break or a window in the schedule on just like a random Tuesday, random Thursday, random whenever, he wanted to be able to go and pick the kids up and just just on a random just do a few hours when he got to open it in his schedule. She would always go back to, well, my lawyer said I shouldn't do that, or she would she would try to pin it on somebody else. That was the crazy thing about it. Like, you're making a decision to do it. This man has already made his peace with, I got to work all day in order to be able to pay all this child support. I'm not going to be able to pull a some kind of switch up on you. I don't even have the time in my schedule to try to pull it off. I just want to be able to see him when I want to see him. But you're absolutely right. They'll default back to, well, the judge said, well, my lawyer said, well, this said, well, that said, and yeah, so it's definitely abusing the system, so to speak. But the Swoovie is in the building. It says, if men bossed up, created multiple means of income, and kept a lawyer on retainer, that would cause a shift in the dynamic, ideally before children come into the picture. Yes, I agree 100% that there are some things that that men can do to minimize the harm. But see, that's part of the problem. We just talked about how women could be ratcheted. Women could have enough on their Instagram that's worthy of CPS coming to take the kids, but a man has like listen to what you're saying. Got to have a lawyer on retainer. got to have everything going right in your life. Got to cross every T and dot every I and show up just to get on equal par with somebody who doing CPS worthy stuff on Instagram. Like, so that already speaks to the situation. But so it's what you're saying is true, that if you did everything right, if you had multiple streams of income, if you had your money right, if you had a clean record, if you had a lawyer on retainer or had just the money ready to go to pay a lawyer in full out the gate, if you did all of that, yes, that will create parity with somebody who ain't done none of that. So I mean that's the worst part of that. What you say? Almost called you Beige Moses. What you say on that? Well, shout out to the Swoovies. Appreciate your super chat. Shout out to you for that. But go ahead, Beige Moses. What you got on that?
Yeah, it's true. I mean, you have to have leverage. I mean, KS talks about that all the time. You have to have leverage. If you don't, you're just, I mean, you're at their whim, and if you have to make a different choice to mate with someone who has less income, then you do that. If don't like they say in the chat, the hopium. If you're trying to marry a woman that makes 95 and you make 65, that's going to be a problem. It just is. So let them price themselves out of the market. Just let them price themselves out of the market. If they want to be, big-headed about that, they want to be stiff-necked, willful, because they make some money, fine. Die alone. 40s and 50s going to get real lonely. That lifestyle, a 50-year-old black woman who owns a home in the middle of winter, they're going to get tired of that. Let that be their example.
Winter is coming.
Figuratively and literally.
Yeah, and it's cold in the D, so it's cold in Detroit. So that winter is gonna hit them. That rent moratorium is kicking their ass.
Yeah, the link in the chat. Anybody else? Excuse me. Anybody else want to come on up? The link is in the chat. We do currently got 246 people in the building, 160 on the likes. If you're in here, if you're fresh in here, you could definitely hit that like button. Definitely hit that like button. Subscribe if you're not subscribed. My subscribers been at a standstill lately. Ain't no way. I should be at 8,000. We need like 30 more people to subscribe to hit 8,000. So if you're in here and you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button, bang the bell, hit the like button. And we got my man Silent Lamont in the building. Shout out to Silent Lamont.
What you got? That reminds me. I need a wrench. I need a wrench up in here.
I got you.
I'm getting timed out.
What they timing you out for?
I timed out the Beige Warrior. You know what it is.
Why you timing him out? What's going on?
It's I have my certain little ticks. I rarely get people out of the chat, but I have my certain little ticks. And one of those is bastardizing my positions to make it easier to tag. And so sometimes I got a slapping on the ass and put him in the corner. I know nobody put baby in the corner, but that's why I did it.
Just come with a retort. You're abusing your power. Can't even take a joke.
Yep, you absolutely right. I was abusing my power and I sat you in the corner. You damn right.
Right. Racist cornflakes got you.
Boom. Damn. See, the thing is, my brother, you get triggered. See, I got smoke for everybody.
All right, well, okay. All right, stop. All right, wait, whoa, stop. Okay, what's going on? What's the discussion here? Let's get on the topic. Let's not just talk shit at each other.
Listen, I didn't say anything to the bed.
No. Okay, all right, okay.
I got you.
What was said and what was disagreed with? That's what I want to get to.
Because you asked me why I tied him out as soon as I started talking.
All right, cool. We got it. You got it. Okay. Now I want to get to what did you say, and then so I can find out from him what did he disagree with, so we can have a discussion.
What he said was something to the tune of, anytime racism come up or something like that, Silent got something to say. It was off topic. If I don't attack every subject with the same veracity. Racism, white people, black women, other niggas.
All right. We not wait. Everybody chill. We not getting off topic. Well,
I came up here to say something.
Yeah. I know. My bad. I thought that y'all had a legitimate debate or disagreement about what we're talking about now. No, so I would have been excited to have some good back and forth on that, but we not.
Let me quote myself. We did the
racism show yesterday. But
let me quote myself. Tell you exactly what I said. I said if we were discussing cornflakes, Silent Lamont would find a way to find the racism.
Okay,
right. That's what I said.
All right. Fair enough. Let's move on. But all right, Silent. what you got on this topic? I know you were a bit animated in the chat room, so you can go ahead and speak on this topic. The topic we was talking about men raising boys to be men. That's what we was talking about. And then yeah, he started talking about his divorce and got charged up with being on that hopium. And so yeah, y'all went to clowning the brother about the hopium, even though but so go ahead, Silent. You got it, man. Whatever you wanted, wherever you wanted to take it. And he's gone.
He probably muted.
He's not muted.
Oh
wow. Wait a sec. Oh damn.
Bad reception.
God damn. No, okay, I ain't go. Silent. See, that's how I know he wanted to come up to talk shit. When I tried to get it on the topic, he ain't had nothing to say.
Right.
He just wanted to talk some shit. That's Silent, my guy. But I know when he on some bull.
And I don't think that anybody like it, for the people would give, saying, accusing me of being on that, charged up on that hopium. I agree on some level. You know what I mean? That is a very optimistic, thought, right? But I don't think that people disagree with the sentiment of men need to be raising their boys, men raising men. I just think that the conversation of how needs to be open, so that, look, I'm only saying the stuff, maybe, my not solution, but my, plan to how to get to that, maybe it's undeveloped. I'll accept that. You know what I mean? I'll accept that my plan of getting there is undeveloped. But at the same time, there needs to be conversation on how to do some convincing.
Hey Ed, are you saying that Mike was doing some gynocentric diplomacy? I'm not hearing that. I don't know. Like some of y'all are going going too hard.
The chat is serious, man. The chat is serious. I get it though. I do get it. I totally understand it, because like it's a contrast, like, which is why I love the manosphere, but I got like some of the guys I can't listen to anymore, because it's just so it's tough. Like, I mean, Tommy Sotomayor, when I was in that zone, you know what I mean? And the BMT of 1000 or whatever.
1000,
yeah. Like when I was there, man, you would never hear me say any of this stuff. But let
me say this: if y'all gonna say a man talking about his ideas and views and perspective on men raising boys to be men and the problems that arise in that, because yes, like we talked about the system, and we talk about how within that system it's a fight, just not with the system, but with the woman that you're dealing with, and not just the woman you're dealing with the women that's working in the system, the lawyers, the judges, the mediators at every level. It's women and or blue pill men that's all entangled into that. And so at the end of the day, like if you listen to manosphere content, no matter how you slice it, the person that you're listening to, the things that you post, or if you do content, the things that you say, you are trying to stir the pot of society. You are trying to convince people to your way of thinking. Like nobody starts a YouTube channel without the intention to convince somebody of their way of thinking. Nobody drops a comment in the chat without the thought, especially if you type out damn near a paragraph, without trying to convince somebody of your way of thinking. So whether you admit it or like it or not, we're all trying to convince people. And if his thing that he would like to convince people of is the importance of fathers raising their sons, I don't know how y'all can get a gynocentric diplomacy or anything out of that. Now, talking about is a daunting task that may not succeed. I'm with y'all on that, but don't just say like but come on, man, y'all overreaching on that. And again, and go back to what I said before, if once you accept the thing that y'all all accept, that media influence people, that people can be inceptioned with ideas, then once you acknowledge that, then you have to consider the fact that black men now more than ever are putting out their ideas, thoughts, views, and perspectives, and have platforms that all together, when you add it all up, getting millions of views. So people are getting inceptioned with our ideas. So we are stirring the pot of how people think and what they think. Now, what the overall success of it will be, okay, that's a fair debate, but goddamn, don't kick the legs out of the chair of the person of somebody who's trying to stir the pot and influence the thoughts and perspectives and how people in our society operate and move. Like, damn, that's what men are supposed to do. Like, so that's why I don't get some of the energy. like come on, man.
Yeah, I mean, even in it's number 16. Some of these dudes, not all. But
all right, we got Truth as I Know It in the building. Shout out to Truth. What's up? What's going on? What you got?
So I started probably listening 20 minutes ago, and when I walked in, I heard hopium. I heard 20 minutes straight of hopium. So that's why I said,
explain what you heard. Explain what you heard.
Well, you're saying we got to convince him. We got to shame him. We got to talk to him. We got to convince him that having a father in the home is a good thing. And, I hear that and I go, I mean, that's what the manosphere has been doing for 10 years plus, even before it was on YouTube. The Black Manosphere has been trying to convince Black women to, see reality for what it is and have a better family structure.
Hold on. This was a discussion about women because we're talking about fatherhood. So that's women in general. All right.
Okay.
The numbers are the same when white men go to divorce court or go to custody in a custody battle. The outcomes are the same across the board. So this isn't a black woman, white woman conversation. And now you just proved that I was right when I analyzed your your comment that way.
No.
You said, I never said black or white women. You came up here and did it.
Well, you're cherry picking the stats, first of all, because maybe the divorce or child custody stats are the same when you go to court. Sure. But a lot of black families are not are getting married. We have these high out of wedlock births. So a lot of black children are not living with their fathers in a much higher capacity than every other demographic. So that's why. So that's one thing. And when I talk about finding better women, I'm not saying go interracial. I'm not even saying leave ADOS. But here's the thing, and this is what I'm saying right here with the hopium, is that, can I pull something up?
Yeah.
And screen share? Let me screen share something with you. This is where, I'm with you, brother. I made a lot of videos on the gynocracy. Yeah. I've been doing it for years. So I'm with you. And we definitely need to see more black fathers in the home. Let me pull this up real quick for you.
I mean, damn. I mean, are we doing a show? A black father who got custody is talking about the importance of fatherhood. I don't know what all the pushback came from. Like, y'all, like, damn.
Yeah. So let me explain it here then. Can you see this? So this is I got a video here, the Gynocracy Paradigm Shift Part 2. It's an excellent video. I think you guys would all like it. Basically, this talks about the psychology of the gynocracy. And so we see here, you've got the persona right here. This is the mask that women wear. In the middle, you have consciousness and what women kind of tell themselves. And then in the back here, if you could read, it says it's the shadow. It's kind of written over so you can't see where it says shadow. Oh, here it is right here. This is where it says shadow. So on the surface, so here's the problem with the hopium, with trying to convince women. And this is the pushback that I'm kind of giving, and what I think guys are seeing in the chat is that on the surface, the gynocracy has been saying, all I want is a black man. We're the most race loyal and we love black men. And if y'all would just, have a job and wouldn't be in jail, you're going to have a Kerry Washington lined around the block. There's so many women that are just going to be great wives for you. And then you come out, and you got a job and you got your career and you're like, wait a minute, these women act crazy. So then you kind of discover, like, in the consciousness, this is kind of what they tell themselves. They say, he's ashy. Also, niggas ain't shit. I can be the mama and the daddy. Get the bag, sis. So right here, we're talking about, we know that gynocratic women, they have this negative orientation, this negative lens that they look at black men. They kind of see us as a utility. They see us as somebody to kind of be beat up and then discarded. So we kind of know all that, right? And so when you say, well, we need to convince him, Well, I say, well, how are you going to convince somebody when in the shadow? And when we talk about the shadow, this is the parts of people where they don't understand about themselves. They don't necessarily know why they say he's ashy and niggas ain't shit and I can be the mama and the daddy. They don't know why they say just get the bag, sis. They know they say it like on a surface level. I want money. I'm strong and independent. Black men are weak. Black women are strong. But what they don't understand is that if you read the Willie Lynch letter, which is a fake letter, but when you read it, you go, well, goddamn, that sounds incredibly real. It just rings so true. You've heard black women, they say black feminists in the 70s wrote submission and marriage feels like slavery. You got black feminists who wrote in the 70s in books that they read in college classrooms today. They say marriage is like slavery, which is written down here. Black women think that black males are a burden, use them as a utility. Now, they don't sit there and necessarily say that to themselves, but they definitely think that in the back of their mind. They say, part of their shadow is they go, how many black women say, I'm not a feminist. I'm not a feminist. It's like, no, you're not a feminist. You're a womanist, which is a feminist on steroids. And if you look at black feminism, it was created by black lesbians who created intersectional feminism and identity politics. And if you research what identity politics originally meant, it meant that lesbians created a political structure for black women apart from black men and everybody else. And that's kind of the default mindset for the gynocracy. It's for black women without black men. And they look at black men as a utility, like we're not supposed to be around.
Damn, did somebody convince them of all that?
Yes.
And that's sir, and with all due respect, sir, that was the point. We have a lot of layers to dig through, and I agree with every one of your points. I agree.
So let me give you my push. This is the issue then. When you go, we got to convince them. We got to convince them. I agree with you. I mean, I think that's what the Manosphere is actually doing. That's what Bernard does. That's what I do. That's what Edward Anderson does. That's what BGS does. That's what you're doing. And we're all producing this content and have these conversations and sharing these ideas and concepts. But then, but in the real world, let's say, but for black men for our perspective, right? Like if you really want to live with your kids, do you want to gamble? See, because I look at it like this. You could go out and you could go get a submissive ADOS woman, if you're lucky. Ain't that many around, but you can find one. You go get an African immigrant, you can get an Afro-Caribbean, you can get an Afro-Latina, you can get an Asian American, Latino American, European American, and you got women all around the globe that you could go. And it would be easier for a black man to get a non-gynocratic woman and spend 18 years raising his daughter, getting married and having a daughter and raising his girl up into a quality, submissive black woman. Maybe she's mixed, but she'll still be considered black, and raise her to be a great wife for another black man like yourself. And I think that's what it is. I'm like, you can't really negotiate. You can't negotiate with these baby mama terrorists. Yeah, I mean, you can try and you could go the long route, but the best thing that we can do.
Wait a minute.
Can I cut in?
It sounds like you're implying that somebody is saying the out of pocket, ideologically blinkered chick is the chick that you need to go try to build a family with and just put her in a finger four leg lock and convince her. I didn't hear nobody saying that.
Yeah, I ain't say that.
Yeah, I like that.
Okay. So like I said, I came late. So that's when I walked in. That's the hopium that I heard. You got to convince it.
Real quick. Let me address something in the chat. Al Boogie and Shakanulu, y'all do make a fair point when I said that we came up here to talk about the importance of dads raising the children, raising the boys to be men. And here's a black dad who was married, got divorced, got custody, and that was the conversation we was talking about. Y'all didn't push back against that. Y'all pushed back against the term, the wording, the phrasing, as Shakanulu says. It's the convincing women where the pushback is. Fair enough. Hold on, I'm gonna pass it to you, but fair enough right there. I want to make sure that I wasn't straw man. And so, yeah, when he was talking about the part that I think we all like and we all agree with, that was the part I was focusing on. When he said convincing, I acknowledge that, yeah, that's a tall order, because what you're talking about is some multi-generational delayed gratification stuff. That's what I said to him, and that's why you can't convince them of that. You only can if somebody is just gone, you can convince them of what's in front of them and what will be the benefit. But if the benefit is some long-term result for the next generation, with black folks, particularly black women, that's a really hard one to convince them of. So I said that, and we moved on. Apparently, y'all stayed on that.
Yeah, nah.
and I think that's where the confusion was, where I looked down at the chat 20 minutes later, and I'm like, dang, why is y'all trashing this dude? Like, yeah. So I see what happened and how it happened, and I understand, but I don't think it's that much disagreement in between any of our positions here. I think y'all heard the word convincing and got triggered, and I think Truth heard convincing, and he thought in his head, convince ratchet bitches not to be ratchet. I don't know, but anyway.
Is that not what he means? Is that not what that means by convince?
Literally, no. I think his position would be, you could correct me, don't deal with a ratchet chick altogether.
Yeah.
And how does convince got to do with don't deal with a ratchet chick altogether? Okay. Can you explain that?
Okay, let me do this.
All right, you guys have a good
I'm kidding. You can't do that, man. You can't explain that. Don't even try.
I think that
it's like playing football where niggas are just tossing the ball and you got to jump up high in the air to get the motherfucker to get in the game.
We know what you meant. We know what you meant, brother. Don't worry about it. Let's move on.
I think that we all agree don't deal with ratchets, right? I don't think that I have to say that.
Don't deal with a woman who'd even have a kid out of wedlock. If a woman will have your kid out of wedlock, don't even fuck with her.
Okay. I don't think that I see the benefits of not dealing with a woman who has who has a kid and baby daddy and so on and so forth. I don't disagree with that. My point or perspective is that we're talking about a lot of the talk in the manosphere is about relationships. You have a couple of dudes, big dudes like Mr. Palmer, who talks about child support, for example. And I think that his platform is just growing. It's growing ridiculously. And so are some of the other guys who have a niche in the space, like the lead attorney, so on and so forth. The biggest guy, of course, is Kevin Samuels, and he talks about relationships. I think there are a lot of fruit off of his tree and guys who existed before him that are in the space of talking about relationally how black women act or how black women are. I think that there also needs to be a space carved out for how women are parentally. And that's my point. So that the same momentum of talking about relationships can happen with parenting, because again, they all intermingle. But
do you think we have that already? You don't think we have that already? Because to me, that's one and the same. I think that's really the crux of the problem. If black men were just having getting a can of green beans thrown at them, on the weekends, whatever, when she gets drunk, I think black men could handle that. But the whole black manosphere is really predicated on the black family structure being ripped apart. So I kind of see it as one and the same already.
I don't agree. I don't disagree with you. But what I'm saying is that a lot of the talk of relationships are either absent kids because we're talking about getting with women who don't have kids, or is absent kids because we're saying don't even.
Are you saying get with women that have kids?
I'm not saying get with women that have kids.
Okay, hold on. Your whole thing about talking about women in society and how women think in terms of kids in relation to the father, were you even making that personal with the woman I'm dealing with, or were you talking about in general? Women need to be educated on this, not the woman that I'm fucking need to know and understand or be educated on this.
Not just the woman I'm fucking, the women in general. Because again, women
because what you're being charged up with, and I'm gonna give you a chance to respond to that. I think you're being charged up with saying that I'm going to deal with single mothers and baby mamas, and I'm just going to convince them while I'm dealing with them to not shit on the dad. I think that's what people are charging you up with. I wasn't hearing that, but I think that's what people think you're saying. Wait, real quick, Truth, did you think he was saying that? Yes or no?
Can you repeat that again, Bernard?
Okay, I think people are charging him up with saying that I'm going to deal with single mothers and baby mamas, and while I'm dealing with them, I'm going to convince them not to be shitty to the father of their children. Is that what you were thinking that he was doing?
I kind of maybe a little bit. I think maybe that might be part of it, but even more so, that black men should be entertaining women that odds are they're going to stick you with a baby you never asked for, or you get her pregnant, you want to keep the kid.
Where are you hearing him say entertain women that's going to stick you with a baby?
Because
only way you can hear him, like, okay, how are you hearing him say that? Y'all got to help me out. I'm not hearing him say.
I'm not saying that. I'm asking. I'm not saying he is saying that.
Okay,
I'm just asking.
Ask him the question.
Because my question is because you say you want to carve out a space to talk about children, and so what I say is that you should only deal with women that are on the exact same page as you when it comes to family structure. There is no convincing. She's either wants to get married and then have kids and would despises having kids out of wedlock. So then I go, what's any other conversation I have then? What else is there to talk about?
There's a difference between macro and micro.
Okay.
He talked about it from a macro standpoint. You gave him a micro answer. I think this is an intelligent brother who understands not to stick his dick in ratchet.
Right.
So I'm
not saying even ratchet though. That's not necessarily ratchet though, Bernard, because a lot of women will have. I mean, how many kids? 56% of kids live in a single parent home in the black community, and then another 7% don't live with any parent at all. So to me, I'm looking at that. I'm going, okay. So when you talk, what are you talking about? I'm just asking. I'm not trying to pigeonhole him in actually. I don't know what he's saying because you asked the same thing, Bernard. Is when it comes to black men and parenthood, like, are you saying as a black single dad and you're a non-custodial parent, or you're saying you're dating baby mamas, and just because a woman's a baby mama don't mean she's ratchet? I'm not saying that. I'm just kind of asking, what is that nuance though? I think that's interesting.
Well, this is the thing that I'm saying, and I'll repeat it. If we can talk about extensively how women are in relationships, if we can talk about that and have that extensive exclusive conversation, then I think the conversation about parenting and how we, how involved fathers, black fathers, because it's the black manosphere, I guess. So we have to say black fathers, but I think that we should be having that conversation in conjunction, because I know that the idea is not to deal with a baby mama. I don't, if that's your position, that's fine. If you do, that's fine. But my hope is that in having the conversation that we're pushing forward women staying out of the court, because we have to talk about that. Just like, again, a lot of women you've seen do complete 180s with regards to relationships. You'll see women say, yeah, I didn't know that we were this bad. And I'm looking at these women that are on the KS show, and she sounds like me, and so I need to change some things. And look, it's taken about a year. Even though the manosphere has been around for a very long time, let's go from average at best to now. That's a lot of ground that he's made up. I think that the same thing could be done if we start talking about the parenting aspect, fathers being, more involved. If we start having that conversation on that level, it can do the same thing. You know what I mean? And look,
yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you 100% on that. I talk about that on my channel about the importance of black fatherhood. One statistic, it's in the New York Times. There's this study, and they said that they did a study, and they said when it comes to black people who come from affluent families that have a net worth of maybe $1 million or so, or actually more, probably several $1 million of net worth, and they compare those to white families, and they said that black women and white women actually fare the same. The children of black and white affluent families, the females, do the same. But then they did a study with black boys. See, and this is what we're talking about here. When it was black boys from affluent families compared to white men, that white men fared way better. And they said that how they talk about the black and white
there's a reason for that.
Net income. They said the black and white net income problem They said it's not really with the women, that it's with the men between black and white. And what they said was that
there's reasons for that, because white women, even though they score high enough on standardized tests to go into STEM, they choose not to. Therefore, when it comes to black women competing with white women, it's a lower hurdle that black women have to jump over. In order for black men to compete with white men from affluent families, we would have to score high enough on the standardized tests and excel in science, technology, engineering, mathematics at the rate that they do. So it's going to be an automatic imbalance when they talk about that, unless black men just start acing math tests out of this world. But black women don't have to do that in order to compete with white women. They can go get a women's study degree and get some job, at a cubicle, stapling some papers, and compete with white women, because white women ain't really doing shit.
Right.
So
let me tell you what the study said. Let me tell you what the study said. The study said that the biggest, what is happening is that black boys need fathers in the home. The difference is that when black women don't have a father in the home, it doesn't have the same impact as when black boys don't have a father in the home. This gynocratic hive mind. And what they said was the biggest predictor.
But, hold on, but wait. When they say it doesn't have an impact, what they're saying is it doesn't stop them from competing closer to white women.
Yes.
But what I'm saying is that's a small hurdle. It's a small hurdle to jump over.
Maybe, probably true. Yeah, that's probably true. But this is what they said, though, is that the biggest predictor of black boy success from affluent families, and really all black boys, is living in neighborhoods where black boys live in neighborhoods where black fathers are in the home. It's something at like 58% or something, 62%. If black fathers are living in a community of black fathers in the home at like 62%, those black boys will take off like a rocket and compete at the same level as white boys. But what they said is that there's only like 2 tracks in America that actually have that. It was something crazy, like an incredibly low number, but it was like 48 or 54% of like black tracks in the United States had that for white boys. So it was really hard for black boys to ever have that. And then they went further on to, to make your point, is they said that statistically speaking, a black boy that's raised in a single parent home that lives in a community with black fathers in a home at high percentages, statistically will have better outcomes than a black boy who's raised with a father in the home who lives in a single parent home community.
Yeah, but check it out. Everything that you're talking about right there, that's why I'm pro-family. That's why I talk a lot about fathers in the home. That's why I'm essentially a traditional conservative, because the end result of that is better outcomes for black boys. But when I talk about that, eventually some the hopium gets smuggled into the conversation. But that is the conversation. That is the solution.
Yes, sir. So that's it. That's it.
Community
that's
matters.
The answer.
Community always matters.
Who's charging you up with hopium, Bernard?
I get charged up with hopium all the time.
Name names. Who's these haters out here?
My whole damn chat room. But I own the hopium because I want to see better outcomes for black boys, because better outcomes mean better outcomes for black men, and better outcomes for black men mean better outcomes for everybody. So I'm all for that, and I will stand on that hope. I will stand on the hope that someday it will get there. I will be the captain going down with the ship. Put it like that. I don't care.
I'm with you, Bernard. I'm with you.
Yeah.
They're now going to stepfathers in the chat, by the way.
What do you mean?
They're in the chat. They're now talking about being a stepdad. Like the conversation is veering, I think, from.
I don't think nobody was advocating for stepdads here, but go.
I had to say, like, in the beginning, when I got to the when I first got to the chat, it was just like, it sounds like some cleanup man stuff. That was the first, and I was just like, nah, no, we not Boyce Watkinson over. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not suggesting that. I suggest that the father of the natural biological father be the one raising his kids. You know what I'm saying? So that we don't have, like, the mom and the dad don't have to be together. I mean, as you're a divorcee, I'm a divorcee, whatever. Like, that doesn't mean you can't move on and be with another woman, but you should be the one raising your boy. You know what I mean? That should be happening. You know, so I mean, I don't know, like, and charging me up with charging me for, you know, being on the hopium. I get it. You know what I mean? I get it. I'll be guilty of that. You know what I mean? I'll take that.
Gabe, you're doing what women do. You're equating every black man as the one big Voltron nigga, like we all won. And then so if one person says something, you could pull out something that another black man said, and then find a black man who does not hold the position of this other black man in contradiction somehow. It does not work like that. He says, if the solution is stable families for better black male outcomes, why does pump and dump continue to rule? Why does pump and dump continue to rule to the black manosphere conversations? Pump and dump does not rule the conversations on my show. My show is not a pump and dump show. I'm not a MGTOW. I said
it doesn't rule. It doesn't rule the manosphere either.
Nope. I know, but it certain channels where that is, you know, the modus operandus. And hey, I respect that. Do your thing. You know, Ramil adds a lot of value in terms of black men in business and doing what you got to do to get your money right and leave them hoes alone. Just use them for short-term recreation. Give them 5% of your time. There's actually some internal logic and a message in there that could pull out of that. I just think that, you know, it's hard for us to build and create the type of black men that we want to see in the future if everything is being separate. And a lot of those men that's pumping, dumping, eventually, yeah, some of them gonna get some chicks pregnant, and this chicks basically is gonna, if women are raising the next generation of boys to become men, we're going to have the same problem no matter how much you try to rally the troops and educate them on what they need to be doing. You're catching people who was raised to be sick and now trying to order them to be well at 18 is not gonna, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. So that's why I am down with some traditional conservatism. I am down with it. That is a solution. But given the current situation, it's impossible. I won't say impossible. It's very hard to pull that off given the current environment. Thus the conundrum in the situation we in. Thus the reason why I respect when somebody like Truth As I Know It says that's why black men need to, you can increase your percentages by dealing with women from other cultures altogether. And I'm not even talking about Western women. I'm talking about women from other cultures, other countries, that's why I can't knock that. So that's where I'm at with that. Like, so don't straw man me, Gabe. Don't straw man me, Gabe. I see Fantastic down there wanting the link. Shout out to you.
Sheesh.
Number 16 says, Gabe, easier to convince a woman to smash in 5 to 10 minutes raw than it is to convince them to live in a functional family unit.
Cold.
Oh,
wow.
For a lot of them, that is true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For a lot of them, that is true. I won't deny that.
Yeah, but I mean, you know, but as the saying goes, everybody can't go. So like,
that's where I'm at with it.
Everybody can't go. So she's that. So just leave her there.
Shout out to Mr. Fantastic, but they came at you with an energy like that. The type of hoe that number 16 talking about. They came at you like you was on some save that woman type shit. I didn't hear that. That ain't what I heard.
Never that.
All right. Here we go. Mr. Fantastic in the building. You got the flow. You got the mic.
Yo, what up, bro?
What up? What you got, man?
Nothing much, man. Again, shout out to the brother with the man bun, the black man.
Fantastic, man. Damn, man. This guy, he's the greatest. He's the greatest. Fantastic.
Man, appreciate it, bro. Just, you know, it's me. I got to get my little jokes in. Go ahead. No, Gabe A, as usual. Again, man. Listen, bro. Shout out to Ramil. Bro, we got to get out of this trigger culture. Again, you relabel, you rebrand something that's been going on for the majority of time, and you know everybody pumps and dumps. If you've ever had a unsuccessful casual sexual relationship with somebody, you pump and dump. Okay, yeah. Pump and dump is just a more harsh, you know, expression of casual sex, which everybody engages in. Most sex that is had in the world is casual sex. Mm-hmm. So again, man, we kind of, you know what I'm saying, get into, like you said, Bernard, this womanly emotional approach to things. Well, don't say it like that. Don't say it like that when it's something that everybody does, but just because it has negative connotation put on it by women. Now, women, we're all pumping up. What do you mean? No, again, you could argue, and it's been shown that Black women pump and dump more than anybody else, whether they be single or married. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So the highest divorce rates, casual sex and all these other things and whatnot, what have you, when it comes to promiscuity and sexual irresponsibility. I mean, how could we as Black men say that it's not pumping and dumping when, again, we know the numbers say it's somewhere up to maybe 30% max of the men are really out here having sex with the majority of the women, 80% of the women, and out of the women that are having kids, we're still rising in that single mother rate. So again, man, I just don't get it when brothers are just, vehemently against pump and dump when, again, it's just casual sex with another label on it, man. I mean, come on, get out your feels, bro. Get out your feels.
No, yeah, and I'm with you on that. I made the point to Gabe that's not the rule of thumb for my channel and all I talk about. Like that's the BS that Gabe tried to smuggle in there, because I do think that traditional families matter. And he said, but what about pump and dump? Well, okay, yeah, men who have casual sex. I used to get it in, have casual sex. I ain't out there right now, and I never know, something may happen. I may get back out there, but I ain't in the game. I ain't in the game right now. I checked myself out of the game, but yeah, no, Gabe be tripping on that. But no, shout out to Fantastic. Mike, did you want to respond to anything that was said right there?
Just that the pump and dump idea is I mean, he also left out that our women also have the highest rate of abortions as well. Like, they're doing it more than we're doing it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just not, it's, the numbers are there. Like, that's why I love the manosphere so much, because it's just like, not only is the manosphere having the talking points, but it brings the facts with it. And, everybody does their job and, kind of reiterating the facts. And I think that the Gabe A's comment was not a little disingenuous. It was very disingenuous. So just there's no, you can always find an outlier. You know what I mean? And I don't think that Romeo is a bad guy or anything like that. He has his perspective. That's where he has a whole song too. You know what I'm saying? But it's I think that was a little disingenuous to comment. But
hold on. Okay, Gabe, hey, that's the direct question you need to ask to Ramil. He says, I didn't say that, but he's saying he didn't say what about pump and dump. LOL. I simply asked why pump and dump prevails when we know stable families create better outcomes. It's a simple question. Now, Ramil's not here, but somebody like Ramil could argue getting closely tied up and entangled with these modern women in this modern environment really results in worse outcomes for you. You can make a case for that. Now, those who end up, in stable families and it works out, those kids statistically have better outcomes. But the dudes who get entangled with women and it don't work out, the outcome is drastic. So there's fine arguments on both sides. But I uphold the traditional family and men raising their children, men raising boys to be men. If something increases the probability of that being the case, I'm going to support it. But I understand people saying it ain't worth it to even risk it. Both arguments are good. Go ahead. It's like you were trying to jump in. Fantastic.
Yeah, Bernard. Well, again, why is the assumption again? Ramil is the epitome of responsible pumping and dumping. Ramil don't have no kids. Ramil had never been married or divorced. So again, why are you guys associating pump and dump, which is casual sex? Can we do a fantastic poll, Bernard, real quick? Can we do a fantastic poll, brother?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Oh, okay. So can we get a 1 in the chat for everybody that was a virgin until marriage? And let me get a 2 for everybody.
Well, we know what's about to happen here.
It stands exactly what I said. Okay, listen, pumping and dumping is just casual sex. That's all it is. And for the Ramil, and Ramil is the perfect person to have it, because I'm married. Okay, well, I'm going through a divorce, but even before I got married, what? I got my sperm stolen. Okay, I got sperm thefted. All right. So again, man, we want to act like this is just a one-way thing, and it's just so many circumstances here, man, that go to it. Even though I was sperm swiped, semen swiped.
Were you sleeping, or did she lie about birth control?
Yeah, did you wake up in a bathtub full of ice?
She stopped taking birth
control.
control.
Wait. Oh, start over, Fantastic. They was laughing, so we couldn't hear what you said. Go ahead.
So everybody don't know my story already. I was in a long-term relationship, monogamous relationship with a woman. Okay. She was taking birth control, so we were having unprotected sex. She stopped taking the birth control without telling me, and she got pregnant. Not only did she get pregnant, she got pregnant with twins. So those circumstances and things happen more. Again, that I know that's not a commonality, but it's not as much of an abnormality as we think it was.
Happens all the time.
Just to add some perspective on that, if two people are in a long-term relationship and birth control is the agreed upon method that they're using to prevent pregnancy, her getting off the birth control and not telling him is literally the equivalent of a man, if a man and woman having sex and condoms are their agreed upon method of preventing pregnancy, and while he hitting it from the back, he slipped the condom off and tossed it over his shoulder and keep going and nutting her.
Exactly.
There's women that there's women. Hold on, real quick, Fantastic. There's women that have done streams. I did content on this. There's women that have done streams where they basically argued that a man taking that condom off without her knowing that's rape. That's rape. They call it rape when a man does that. So
the state of California has now did that. So in the state of California, if you do that, that is a sexual assault related. I don't think it's a felony, but it is some type of sex crime, and it's a misdemeanor as to where you still could end up being a sex offender. So like you said, man, as a man space, how is it that when you have my story and several men that have stories like myself, you know what I'm saying, that have stories just like me, you're going to tell us that, okay, well, all this stuff about parenting and whatnot, what have you. Listen, bro, even though I couldn't stand my baby mom at a time or whatever, you know what I'm saying, thought about going to jail. I've been an integral part in my children's lives since day one, as much as he tried to deny me and prevent me from doing it. The thing about it is, bro, how many marriages survive? Even what you guys saying don't make sense. When you look at the numbers of marriages don't last enough. So even if you're having a child in a marriage, you're still going to be co-parenting or having a child in two separate households. So that's what I'm saying. You guys talk like, bro, there ain't no time machines, bro. If you're going to build a time machine, brother. We can go back to, black and white flow model TVs and zoot suits and all that good shit, right? And perm your hair.
Hey, Fantastic. Let me jump in real quick about the marriage rates. I read something recently, and they said that if you marry a woman with a bachelor's degree, you have an 80% chance of that marriage lasting 20 years. If she doesn't have a bachelor's degree, only a high school diploma, it drops down to 40%. So it's like 2 to 1. I thought that was kind of a shocking revelation.
That's interesting.
Okay, but still, look, man. And again, I understand.
I'm not trying to argue with you. I would just point that out.
I'm not saying you're trying to argue, but again, this is what I say, man. Listen, I don't think people, as much as we talk about the black manosphere, just how many different, variables and hoops and Chinese stars and all this crazy stuff, bullets you got to dodge out here, man. Listen, we're dealing with women that have some of the most negative, just attributes and stats, period. Whether it be sexually, financially, even the education thing is BS. You know what I'm saying? Because you just attend the most, debt, your mental illness, mental health. Come on, man. Again, bro. And again, it's not to bash or talk down black women, so on and so forth. Like when you really, really look at it, again, all you skinny mini lovers, y'all niggas, you know what I'm saying? Y'all don't want no bitch to have no kind of hips, no curves. Y'all want a bitch to be built like a motherfucking, a box of Pop-Tarts. All right. Shout out to y'all. Shout out to motherfucking Pablo. All right. But this is the thing. So like added now to another stat what Truth just said. So if you want your marriage to last 20 years, and that's 20 years now, mind you, remember, I don't know if you guys know this, Black women around the age of 50 are like one of the highest divorce demographics in the nation. Okay, so even if you make it 20 years, when she gets 50 years old, she's gonna leave your ass. Shout out to motherfucking Dale Curry. Okay,
I'm okay with that.
And then furthermore, now you got the weight thing. So you only got 30% left of women that aren't overweight or obese. Okay. Then you got debt. How many women are not going to be below poverty or very, very low middle income rate making that. So it's just so many things of this select few where you got to find this chocolate unicorn, man. Like, what the fuck? That's what I'm just telling you. And it's not really making an excuse. Yeah, you can vet, you can do all these other things. And then hell, lo and behold, if you find her, you gotta hope the chick ain't crazy. Hope she ain't crazy as hell. So that's what I'm just saying, man. There's just so many things that goes into this, finding the right woman and doing what you're supposed to do as far as your family goes. And it's plenty of dudes that did what they're supposed to do as far as what their family do. But what? The woman has choice, and eventually if the woman gets tired, that woman can leave. And it's lucrative for her. She's gonna get paid. She's gonna get payout in that. Especially if you got a marriage that lasts 10 years or more. You know what I'm saying? And she's been there with you when you worked yourself up to becoming that, Henry or high value man. So again, man, it's just so many things that where I think we want to just, it's an easy answer and just choose right. Just don't pump it up. Just don't bro. Life ain't that simple, bro. If it was, everybody would be motherfucking millionaires and billionaires around here. You know what I'm saying? And bench 315 and run a sub 440. Come on, dog.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Would you agree that like just in this past year during the pandemic, the manosphere has done a excellent job of moving the needle with regards to relational, like the way that women act in relationships, not to the point where it's 50% or 70%, but have done a good job of kind of conveying to women and making them see themselves. Because my only point, from the beginning is that just as well as we're going hard about relationships, I think that there are some parental, conversations as well. But I think that we need to go just as hard at that conversation, even though I know the other stuff is more interesting, so that if you have like a Brittany Renner who's running amok on PJ Washington, then maybe the conversation of there's no way in the world that her actions should yield her custody of her son, considering she's telling the world what she's doing. Like, there should be more conversations about that. Not to necessarily say let's down Black mothers, but let's show them who they are, like what the manosphere is doing with showing Black women who they are in relationships.
Yeah, and yeah, bro, and that's what I was saying. A lot of people were saying, PJ Washington is dumb, PJ Washington is this, and they're blaming the man, which again, he has some culpability. Of course, he does. But again, who you guys? It's like you know what women are, like you said, bro. We know what these women do, what they're capable of, but when they actually do it, then we do the same thing that women do and absolve them of any type of responsibility, and we just clown the dude. We just clown the man.
And let me add to that. I don't think like as much as PJ has to be, clinically like brain dead to make this decision. I don't think that he had a father, a cousin, a brother, a guy friend to say, hey, don't do that. Because I think that if he had any of that, which speaks to my point about men raising men.
Hold on. He's in the NBA. They got classes on how to deal with these ratchet women. They got whole classes. His dad works for the NBA. Okay, I mean, he had everybody tell him. She wrote a book about it. She literally wrote a book about thoughting it up. Like what more could
you guys are leaving out? She got her hooks. She got her hooks in him before he was even a grown man.
That's what I'm trying to say. That's what I'm trying to say. Thank you.
And that's what you brothers leave out, man. Again,
she older than him?
Yeah, wait.
5 years. Oh, no, not 5 years, like 7 years.
She was like going to his high school games or something. That's right.
High school and college games. So again, you got this woman that's playing the long game to see this promising dude, right? And she's gonna got her claws in. You think that's the first time they had sex? Again, we don't know the details to it because it hasn't been discussed. But again, he's been dealing with this woman over years. You don't think they've been sexually active and engaged over years? Of course they have. But what did she wait to spring the whole pregnancy on him by whatever means it may be? Oh, after he gets his first, big NBA contract. Mm-hmm. And you guys want to just completely and totally put that out of the picture, the coincidence and the way the whole time lines up, even though you can take it back and know for sure that she had contact with this dude as a kid, as a child, you know what I'm saying, in to high school years up through college, you know what I'm saying, or at least the mind of a child through college.
How old is he now?
Yeah, man, she evil.
Maybe 22.
23.
Only 22. Yeah, she's a sociopath. Well, you know, and part of this too, this is the problem with pumping dump.
That's why I was saying, like, listen, the importance of these conversations. We talk about media influence, not just influencing women. These conversations influence men. These conversations need to be had. So I've seen people talk, well, we talked about this before. We talked about no, this stuff need to be said. It need to grow. It need to get out there. Men need to be inceptioned with all of these manosphere ideas, because even it ain't even enough to for him. I mean, like you said, she got in on him early. But even when he's around people, even though, as I say, a lot of them NBA niggas dumb as hell. They get too much money too early before their brain even had time to fully develop. But still, there got to be people in his circle who was telling him something. But they probably was telling him some bullshit. Because like I said, the manosphere is, in many cases, 10 years ahead of everything. Go listen to Club. Go listen to how them dudes talk on Clubhouse, and you'll see what I'm talking about. So, yeah, so it's doing what we do here is vitally important. Is vitally important. That's one thing I'll say to that. Truth, hold your thought for a second, because shout out to ARC in the building. That still don't quite sound right. I need to get another drop of that. But no, ARC, he didn't send me the new drop of that. He didn't send me the new drop of that yet. But ARC says, just to clarify, not all men who engage in short-term, non-monogamous casual sex are engaging in pump and dump. Ramil and I already had this respectful disagreement last year. Mode 2 and Mode 3 plus casual sex equals pump and dump. ARC holds that you're not pumping and dumping if you're being honest and straightforward about what's going on. It's only when you're lying is that you're actually pumping and dumping. And so I've always defined casual sex. If you're having casual sex and then it comes to an end, whoever was the person who ended it, whoever was the last person that left somebody on red, that's who pumped and dumped. But I mean, that's how I always looked at it. But I do understand ARC's point. It's only pumping and dumping if you abruptly end it without the other person knowing. But with Mode 1, as he says, you let the person know up front this is going to be casual for, no longer than a certain amount of time. But either way, shout out to ARC. Go check him out. Go pick up Mode 1, possibility of sex, all that good stuff. Check him out. Truth, you was about to say something. Go ahead.
Well, I had two things. Number one, as a man, you got to worry about these women wrapping their legs around you, like, Mr. Fantastic. I've been down that road. I had women, you go raw dog on a chick or whatever. She tries to wrap her legs around you so you can't pull out. That's a problem. I had girls, you use a condom, but, you push her off. You say, I don't want to have sex or whatever. You fall asleep because you're too drunk, and you wake up and she's on top riding you, and you're like, what you're raping me in my sleep. Why? What are you doing? They actually got a movie about that called, what's it called? The World According to Garp. It's a kind of crazy movie you're probably not ready for. But then they got this guy here, with Brittany Renner and PJ Washington. See, that this is where the pump and dump lifestyle can become problematic, because I'm sure when he met that dude, he met that woman, he knew what she was about. He read the book. His friends told him, he knew, but she looked so damn good. And he knew he was going to the NBA, and he's a millionaire, and he comes from a good family, and he's handsome. And he goes, but she's into me. She was treating them other niggas like that because they ain't me. I'm a boss. So that's why she's bowing down to me. And then his friends and his family go, no, man, you can't trust her. She's going to tear you out the frame. And he goes, what? So now, being an athlete and have that alpha mindset, now he's thinking, I'm going to just take this as a challenge. I can make this work, even if she is a little bit crazy, but I got the shoulders to handle this. I can handle a whole lot. I'm in the NBA. And then all of a sudden he gets torn out the frame. So, a lot of guys go down that exact same road. They don't make, the news headlines doing it. But that pump and dump lifestyle, it can trap you. And especially as you get older and you got used to handling women, and then all of a sudden you just drop your guard down just a little bit, and then she ends up stabbing you in the back.
Well, either lifestyle, if you're dealing with a chick like that, you can get stabbed in the back. But shout out to Shaka Nulu once again. He says the manosphere was never about convincing women. Yeah, make it that way. I don't say it's about convincing women. At this point, the shit is growing to it ain't about convincing women. It's about convincing the fucking world. Like y'all, some of y'all short-sighted and think it's just always going to be just a small boys club of us just having a conversation about no, this shit is getting bigger and it's getting mainstream. And by mainstream, I mean it's to the point where it's going to be consistently getting more views than the mainstream. And that's so it ain't about convincing women, it's about convincing the world. Like that's where I'm at with it. I see a bigger picture with it. So man, you trying to convince women? No, we trying to convince every fucking body. Like that, like I see big picture. I see big picture. But all right. Prophet of Thought, brother Xavier from the Prophet of Thought series is in the building. Shout out to you and SKC. You got to get me some more drops, man. You got to get me some more drops so I can do this.
Only from TPOT Media. Open your minds.
Shout out to brother Xavier in the building. Go ahead. You got the flow. You got the mic.
Peace, peace, everybody. And god damn, man, is that the audio that I sent you? That sound tore up. But peace, everybody up on the panel.
Yeah, I don't know why that came out sounding like that.
It's
like, I got to figure out what was or just resend it to me. We'll try to we'll get it right.
What I'll do is I'll send you another copy today. I'll send you another copy. And I guess
SKC supposed to be doing something where he gonna put some of his magic on it. So we may send it anyway, but we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah, I'll send you another copy, and I guess Brother Supreme can chop it up. But anyway, I hate to be the bearer of bad news to you brothers. I mean, it's a good concept. Many of us talk about it. When men raise men, we all win. And I agree. Okay, I agree with the ideal altogether. But see, the problem is this, especially when you're talking about black men, because see, most black men don't even have children. Therefore, most black men will not be raising men simply for the simple fact that most black men don't have children. So not only is it numerically impossible, it's statistically impossible. But that being said, also the reason why this concept will never take hold inside of black society is because inside of black society, we have been trained and indoctrinated to see mom as the golden calf. And I'll tell you what I mean. A father has to be perfect, right? Your mother can do whatever, all right? These old mamas can do whatever. They can beat you, they can starve you, they can smoke crack in front of you, they can allow you to be molested, raped, whatever the case may be, right? And we will still love mama. But your father, if he misses one football game, you won't speak to him for 9 months. And see, that is the thing. That is the problem. Fathers have to be perfect. So when you look at a man is always the person who does what? He's considered to be the person who's supposed to provide the money, provide the strength, provide the security, provide, whatever it takes, provide the protection for the family unit. But that's just it. Most black people aren't coming from said family unit. Therefore, they see the father as insignificant. So when a father is considered to be insignificant, not only is he going to get less time with the child, have less influence over the child, he's also going to be less important when it comes to developing the child. Because fathers, especially when you split with a woman, a father usually has to fight for access to his child, custody of his child, time with his child. Something he shouldn't have to fight for because that's something he should have automatically. But see, we grow up as a people, as mothers, treating these children as property and possessions. Why? Because they do not believe that what's best for the child is having the father in the life. That's the difference between mothers and fathers. See, fathers, we believe in what's best for the kid. The women, They believe what's best for themselves. And that is the problem. They believe that the child being with them is best for them. Because, see, if they really cared about what was best for the child or the children, they would have no problem having the child be with the father, especially the sons, because that is what's best for the kid. That's what's best for that boy. But they are not concerned with what's best for the boy. They're concerned with what's best for them. Okay? No matter if it's getting a check for the kid or being able to hold the kid and use the kid as a pawn against the father, etc., etc. It's about what's best for them, not what's best for the kid. Therefore, as long as we have these types of situation and these types of mind frames going on inside of Black society, we're going to continue to see what we see. And in fact, it may get worse. But that's all.
Okay. Can I say
Absolutely.
something?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't disagree with anything that you said. I think that everything you said was very, very important. The idea that men have to fight for their kids, and women have been conditioned to sort of do what's best for them and not what's best for the kid, whereas we're trying to do what's best for the kid. I think that the word that you use, though, is conditioned. And that's where I'm like, okay, cool. We got to start trying to condition them a different way. Now, there's two things that need to be in operation at the same time. We need to leave these ratchets alone as much as possible, because too many dudes is doing that. Too many dudes are, spending their time and impregnating these, these Tanishas out here. But the idea is that you stop doing that, of which, again, most Black men don't really have kids. So that's a beautiful thing. And then what also needs to be in conjunction with that is that we indoctrinate our boys with the ideals that are, a lot of the good talking points that are in the manosphere, so that they are aware, so they don't get PJ Washington, because again, maybe he did. I tried to look him up to see if he had his dad. It says he had his dad and his mom, but that's wonderful. But what if his dad is not giving him anything, not giving him any of the knowledge, the nature of women, the whatever? So him having his dad or having any of it, it's just like two things need to be in operation. Like a man, and the real reason is that men need to be raising, or mostly raising, their kids, is because a woman will not teach you dick discipline. Like, she just can't teach you dick discipline. She can't tell you, hey, don't fuck her, because that doesn't make any sense to a guy coming from his mom. Like, again, you can see your mom and hear your mom say certain things, but until your dad actually says it and give you personal experiences, you probably won't get it. So I agree with everything that you're saying. You know what I mean? Is it X?
Yeah, that's X.
Yeah. I agree with everything that you're saying, but that makes it that much, more important that we do try to push the agenda of Black fathers raising these kids. Because again, you may have pushback from men too. That's one thing that I find to be very just like alarming. Like with the manosphere, you have dudes that are trying to get in the way of this, which is like, why? Who you fighting for? But you have guys that are
their
actually
mama's boys.
What do you mean by getting in the way? What do you mean by that?
Getting in the way, as in you have pastors speaking against Kevin Samuels. You have guys, the Breakfast Club speaking against, people in the manosphere. You know what I mean? Like, it's like they're speaking against, and they're guys, who actually go through the same thing. Like, the first thing that was going to happen to DJ Envy was his wife she went to lawyers. She was about to take the kids and take half his money. And this is a guy who's speaking against the manosphere. That makes no sense. You know what I'm saying? Like, not to say you should be on pump and dump, but I'm sure that there's some principles that you can find in the manosphere that are certainly going to benefit you. He shouldn't be shunning it. Excuse me. He shouldn't, and neither should, well, I get it with, Creflo Dollar, You know, most of his money comes from black women, so you can't have that. That's his bottom line. But we have men who are not Creflo Dollar, men who are not DJ Envy, getting in the way, trying to denounce the message. So that's why these men need to be raised by men, because they need to understand that this is for you. This is not speaking against black women. This benefits black women at the end of the day. Like when if it all works out the way that it's supposed to work out, this benefits all, the whole community. So yeah, I agree with everything you said though.
Right on. Big Poke Dog in the building with the super chat. He said, I didn't know you could be an alpha and a 16 at the same time. Yeah, I didn't even know all the details of that story. Like
he's trying, what he's trying to say, because I said what's his name? He's an NBA athlete. When you're in high school, they know you're going to the NBA when you're in high school. If you're going to the NBA, you're like a alpha high school dude. Everybody knows that. Come on, man.
Well, I mean, but these kids nowadays, these kids are going to private school and all that. They're sheltered. It's not like the 80s. It's not like Patrick Ewing. He's just walking around like the BSD. These kids are they dating normally? Are they getting with girls normally? They're like superstars. They are stunted as far as relationships go. I mean, they know jack shit about the world. Nowadays, the professional dudes that are going to go to the NBA anyway, they live nothing like a normal child's life. Nothing. So
nothing.
In that respect, they are prime targets for any thought to come get at. So anyway, I just had to throw that in there. But to someone else's point, well, I think what a lot of people are describing is culture, right? A lot of these perceptions of black women, about black men are brought to them culturally thousands of times throughout their lives. So it's the color purple, but the color purple is in cartoons. Just because my daughter, I'm looking at these cartoons like these are the same themes. These are the exact same themes that they're hearing when they're 20 and 30. So it's ingrained from a very early age to feel this way. And
what cartoons did you see the color purple in?
Well, no, it's not the color purple. It was, I don't know the exact name of the cartoon, but it was the woman competing with the man, right? The man being wrong. There was a male sidekick that was a buffoon. All these little things that disrespect men in culture are put in from a very, very early age. Then you look at shows like those old Disney shows like iCarly and whatnot, same thing. All the men are idiots. All the fathers are idiots. And then you throw on top of that black men are, bad dads, incompetent deadbeat dads, all this nonsense over and over and over again. By the time the woman is, 25, she's heard that message tens of thousands of times.
And she's been that would ultimately convince her of all those things.
Absolutely.
Which is the point, which is the initial point. And if you notice, like
the convincing only works one way, though.
It only works when it's bad. But in the 90s, also too, to speak to your point about the programming in the TV, in all of our sitcoms of the 90s that we hold in such high esteem, they either had an effeminate little boy or a dumb little boy in every one of them. Like all the ones we love, you know what I'm saying? And that's Family Matters, that's Will, that's the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, that's all of them. They had an effeminate little boy or they had a dumb little boy.
Yeah, and they're actually taking that to the NFL now with this new taunting rule. They call it sportsmanship, and you should have sportsmanship, but now you can't even yell at a guy, and tell him, you ain't shit, motherfucker, and kind of get in his face and jaw jack a little bit. They're throwing 15-yard penalties if you just look at a guy and yell. You don't even have to cuss. Just look at him and yell. They'll throw that 15-yard flag. So they're trying to wipe all that masculinity and aggression out of culture.
Absolutely. The anti-bullying campaign was terrible for kids. Terrible.
It's not just the cartoons and all that kind of stuff.
Are they trying to convince men to be less masculine?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Social engineering.
Whoa. They can't convince men to be less masculine. There's no such thing as convince people to do anything.
They've been doing it.
That's an inside joke that I'm having with the chat room because they lost their shit when he said convince women. But if we just talk long enough, we're gonna see 1,000 examples of the media doing things to convince people to do certain things. But
Brother Bernard, Brother Bernard,
I'm trolling. I know they doing it. I'm just trolling my chat room right now. That's all.
Yeah, because the brother mentioned something very important. He talked about the Creflo Dollars and the TD Jakes and the DJ Envies. These are people who are very big influencers, and they preach it. They talk it on their platforms. All right. If you listen to these people, they will have you believing that the damn women are more important than the children are. So of course, men are a afterthought. They're an afterthought when you put the women above the future of Black society. All right, because we often talk about Black society in a future tense. When we're talking that, we're talking about the kids, man. We're not talking about old ass dudes like me. I represent the past. We're not talking about the old mammies either. We're talking about the children. But they will have you believe that these women are more important to Black society than the up and coming children are. And that is where the problem starts, because they're not more important than the children. Now, some of them can play a vital role in developing the children, but they're not more important than the children. And I think over the course of 50, 60, 70 years, we have been conditioned, like you said, brother, to believe that the women are the most important part of any family, any community, any neighborhood, any block, any movement. They have been put in that position where they are to be seen as the most important part of it, no matter who's involved in it, whether it be men or children.
All right. I just got a call. I just figured out I gotta freaking go. I gotta pick my son up and take him to a football game. I didn't realize that the game started at 4. I thought it started later, so I didn't have my time right, but I just got a call. So I got to get on the move. But shout out to Al Boogie. He says there's a difference, Bernard. The women know they have power. They are not giving up shit. Well, Creflo Dollar was just mentioned in the church through an excellent advertising campaign has convinced women to give 10% of their money, and their money is power, and they've been convinced to give 10% of that to the church. But anyway, the chat room blew a gasket when somebody said convince women, even though women can be convinced of doing all kinds of crazy shit. But so I don't know. I don't blow a gasket on the concept of convincing women. They've been convinced of all kinds of bullshit.
That doesn't benefit them immediately.
Yeah. So yeah, that's where I'm at with it. But anyway, we'll talk about this some more. But shout out to everybody in the building. Damn, I done got accused of gaslighting. That's a first. That's low key a first. I never got charged up. I never got charged up with that. But shout out to Al Boogie. He's a member. Much respect. Yeah. I'll take that. I'll take that one on the chin. Even though I do strongly disagree, I do acknowledge the power of media, and I think a lot of Black men are just haven't fully realized that with the power of media that we all can see that exist, with Black men building media and it's growing rapidly the way that it's doing. We're just like there's Kevin Samuels out there. I predict in a year or two, it's going to be lots of Kevin Samuels out there. And once your platform gets that big, you're stirring the pot. You're the indoctrinator at that point. You're the one inceptioning people with all those ideas that they're inceptioned with now that influence the fucked up behaviors and decisions that they make. Once you get that big and you have that strong of a foothold in media, you become the indoctrinator. And I do believe that. And that's why I don't cringe at the notion of convincing women, convincing men, convincing the world. I don't cringe at the thought of that, because I believe that it's possible. Now, maybe that's pie in the sky. If that's the case, okay, fine, so be it. But don't say I'm gaslighting, God damn it. I just see some things that you probably don't see. That's all. But with that said, we got to get up out of here. Because I got some shit I need to go do. But this was a good show today. Thank you, Mike. Y'all, I don't know if y'all moderators was dropping this link. Y'all can go sub to him. Even though y'all, he's not a fan favorite out the gate, but y'all can go check him out. Y'all can go check him out. And with that said, y'all, we are out of here. Peace.